team trusted for over 100 years. Call Jackson Comfort now for same-day service or book online at jacksoncomfort.com. Guardians looking to avoid the three-game sweep of the hands of the Washington Nationals on Wednesday. Game tied at 1, bottom of the 5th. Chase Lauder putting Cleveland in front.
There are 2 outs. Go-ahead run in scoring position as DeLauder lines it to left field. That'll get down for a base hit. Fasano flying around third base. Throw to the plate, not nearly in time. And Chase DeLauder breaks the tie.
That Cursed Guardians TV. Good guys hang on to win it 3-2. Guardians scoring all 3 of the runs in the bottom of the 5th. Gavin Williams, 7 innings, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, picked up his 8th win of the season. Gives him the most of the American League. Cade Smith did allow a run in the 9th, but picked up his Major League best 19th save. Browns continue with OTAs on Wednesday in Berea. Once again, Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders spending time working with the first-team offense. New offensive coordinator Travis Schweitzer would not say who currently has the edge in the competition between Watson and Sanders. Meanwhile, during the workout, defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. appeared to aggravate his surgically repaired right knee, had to be helped off the field. However, Browns would later say that the injury does not appear to be serious. Hall was just held out as a precaution. Browns cornerback Denzel Ward, not with the team on Wednesday for OTAs, but was busy with his youth football camp in Macedonia. Ward doesn't want folks to read too much into him not being at the voluntary offseason workout program. Ward says he's been in contact with the Browns and he'll be ready to go when it's time to be there. Mandatory minicamp gets going on June 9th. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, after the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Your day isn't complete unless you know how Cleveland fits into the national sports scene. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
We're making good progress. We're off to a good start. I think the guys are starting to get a little more comfortable with the system, which is great. You know, seeing exactly the different schemes and things we're running. But yeah, we're off to a good start. Long way to go, a lot of things to clean up, but we're off to a good start.
Which of the quarterbacks is ahead of at this point in the
I don't know that we have somebody who's ahead. Like I said, we're pleased with both our progress, and all the guys are doing a nice job.
I mean, we got a lot of potential. You know, we got a lot of great guys on the field, and we drafted a lot of great players too. So I'm excited about this year. You know, it's going to be fun.
What kind of interaction have you had with Myles Garrett?
Yeah, of course, knew that'd be a question. I'm going to leave a lot of that interaction between me and Myles.
There has been some.
There has been some, yes.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Morning, Tone. Kenny, what is going on? Let's talk some sports. Big Thursday.
All right, let me switch it up for a second. I'm going to throw a little curveball. I was going to talk Cavs.
We don't have to.
Just something sticking to me here. What? That was Mike Rudenberg at the end, right?
Yep.
That's
New
the DC, yes.
I didn't like that.
You don't like him talking?
I didn't. I mean,
You sound like my son.
I didn't.
I don't like that.
I don't like.
I don't like that.
Well,
I don't liked a lot with the Browns.
I'm gonna be 40 soon. I don't. I'm glad I have the reasoning of a toddler here when I hear this.
Izzy took that from me. I don't like that.
I don't care for it. All right, can I hear it again? Can we just play it again without the music underneath if we can? I'm sorry. This is that answer if you can. Sorry, I know I'm throwing a bunch at you here. Let's hear that again, please.
What kind of interaction have you had with Myles Garrett?
Yeah, of course, knew that'd be a question. I'm going to leave a lot of that interaction between me and Myles.
There has been some.
There has been some, yes.
Okay, so I have been all right, I've been very he's not until he's gone, he's here, and tried not to discuss it. I tried to put a moratorium on it, ain't gonna work.
We love a good old-fashioned moratorium.
I didn't like that answer. And the reason I didn't like the answer, is there more on with Rudenberg here before I go?
For like 7 minutes.
That can't be the only. Yeah, but is there like a follow-up to any of this?
There's one follow-up.
Okay. You got it?
I mean, obviously this is voluntary, and Myles We know what Miles is capable of. What is the biggest thing a player is missing, you feel like, especially with the new staff coming in, when they're not here?
It is voluntary, and we respect the voluntary aspect of it. And whatever team you're on, your team, my daughter's softball team, love everybody to be around, but also understand people have different things, had great communication with different people. Look at this, we're multi-talented right here. Had great communication and excited for when everyone's here to put it together.
I didn't like how that doesn't solve anything to me. Now I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, a little bit concerned here. At first, I thought that this was show fodder, station fodder, the Cleveland sports talk fodder, I should say. We're not the only show station ever discussing it, obviously. I didn't like how he answered. Is that all we have about him and Miles? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I wanted to get the full context.
Miles discussion.
I wanted to make sure because I don't like how he seemed to answer a follow-up question before he answered the original question in that first clip that you said. Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
We can play it again if you want to hear.
Let's hear. Listen to this because it's like.
Well, what's the question?
He says, "I knew that question was coming, and all the conversation between Miles and I Miles and myself is private," is what he said. Like, go ahead.
What kind of interaction have you had with Miles Garrett?
Yeah, of course, knew that would be a question. I'm going to leave a lot of that interaction between me and Miles.
There has been some.
There has been some, yes.
I'm uncomfortable now. I'm officially uncomfortable.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
I'm officially uncomfortable.
If this was as big a non-story as
I've made it out to be, as I've made it out to be a non-story, yeah.
Wouldn't you, as defensive coordinator, go, "Oh, you guys are coming up with the Miles question, guys? Miles will be here when it's time to be here. We talk every day. He's so excited about our scheme. We're excited to fit our version of the scheme around Miles. We think we have a chance to be the best defensive unit in all of professional football. And wait till you see this thing rearing to go. It's going to be awesome." Like, you wouldn't say, that stays between us. Like, you wouldn't say that. You just wouldn't. Like, it seems like they're all dancing around the same thing here.
What does it? No, I disagree. I thought that Todd Monken was just like, yeah, I know I'm getting the question. He'll be here when he's here, and that's it. And then I'm hearing Mike Rutenberg, or as Owen has coined him, Mike Rootin' Tootin' Fresh and Fruitenberg, which is great. And it's very Cato Caitlin to me. Not Caitlin to me. Where it's like, I knew that question was coming. Yeah, I don't know anything about OJ. I don't know. Like, it was very...
Never heard of him.
Like, why are you answering the follow-up question before you answer the question? And then the second one is just... It sounds like me trying to make sense while Lima has me in a corner. Does it not? Like, when I'm... Like, you guys have heard me for years now with Anthony, backed into a corner, trying to pick up pieces, trying to scramble because he's got me trapped. And it sounded like he kind of put himself... Maybe I'm crazy. I hope I'm just making a big deal out of this, and I'm just a little bit worked up now because it's 6 a.m. I tend to be a little bit more emotional in the morning. Maybe I'm making a bigger deal about this than what it is, but I did not like... I hope I am. I didn't like the answer.
They're just not acting like this is normal.
Because it sounds like somebody like got to him and go, listen, they're going to ask you about Miles, and this is what you say. And he just was like, okay, this is what I got to say. And then it just came out in a word salad, and he just vomited out the words of, yeah, that's between Miles and I. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that.
Well, it's really the only thing for him to answer. When they ask Monken things, you have a quarterback, competition. You have what's the offense going to look like? You have all the new receivers. What is there to talk about with the defensive coordinator right now? Is the star defensive player coming or not?
Carson Swessinger.
Yeah, good.
Denzel.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't there. He had camp yesterday.
Yeah, what? Are you guys going to be as good as you were last year?
Youth camp.
You guys were awesome last year. Yeah. You're going to be even better this year.
Okay. I don't like it. I don't necessarily care for that. I don't like it.
It just doesn't sound like things are normal to me. Like, everyone kept saying it's normal. He does this every year. It does not sound. Now, I know it's new coaching staff, so maybe you could chalk it up to that.
Okay.
But it does not sound to me very normal.
I don't
at this point.
So I'm not crazy. I know you guys like to get me worked up, and maybe I'm walking myself into a trap here, but it sounds like he's nervous to answer the question and don't want to say the wrong thing.
And what's to be nervous about? If things were normal, there'd be nothing to dance around. There'd be no eggshells to walk on.
All right, call it 216-474-0092. Tell me tell me it's just in the morning. Oh, work with me on this, guys. Work with me on this, please. I'm begging you.
Believe him or not believe him?
Well, no, it's not that. It's that I think for the first time, I think there might actually be something to all this silliness that keeps getting brought up with Schrager and keeps getting brought up with Albert Breer. I shouldn't say silliness. I mean, if there's smoke, there might be fire. But now all of a sudden I might see like a flicker of fire around some smoke when I'm hearing Mike Rutenberg kind of hem and haw and try to answer questions. And honestly, he sounds like Tom Smokowski in Office Space when he's answering the Bobs about what do you do here. Like he's freaking out. It almost looks like he's freaking out.
People person.
I understand he is a high energy type of guy. And like some of his answers will be a little bit overzealous, overly energetic. I didn't like the way it came off. I didn't like the way it came off. It makes me think that there actually is something to all this then. It makes me wonder if there is actually something to all this. Because my whole thing is, you hired a 60-year-old coach. Why are you going to trade him now? Like, if you wanted to, if you get halfway through the year, we get to the trade deadline, and they're garbage, fine. We want to talk about it then. Go ahead and talk about it then. But all this stuff like, well, they redid his contract, and they did this little thing. And I'm like, okay, this is all wishful thinking. And I get upset about the national shows. Should the Lions go after him? Should the Rams go after him? The Cowboys or like that type of thing. And then for the first time, when I hear a defensive coordinator who, the conversation is important, and he just immediately goes to, well, we're going to keep that quiet. Well, we asked if you had conversation. We asked if you talked, if there was communication. I didn't ask you.
We're asking if the sun was out today.
Like, it could have been like whatever. Like, if I go, Anthony, ask me, have you talked to Myles Garrett?
Kenny, have you talked to Myles Garrett?
Absolutely. We've been in contact this entire time. You know, Myles, it's a voluntary thing. Myles has a lot of obligations being one of the top stars in the NFL. We understand that, and I have full faith and confidence, obviously, that we're going to see him. He's a cornerstone of this franchise. We're going to see him here very soon here during the, if not sooner, but during the mandatory minicamp.
You can even go as far as to say we talk everything. We talk politics, religion, how to raise kids.
And
it's great.
If somebody says, then what did you talk about? It's
Vaccines.
Like, well, you know, these are. I'm going to keep every conversation between me and players private, unless they want to talk, and then they can go ahead and tell you. But you know, I'm going to keep my players' privacy to the utmost respect in my number one priority here.
But you said something.
That terrible answer? Was that a bad answer
No,
I just gave? I thought
no.
that was a pretty damn good answer. Compared to what Mike Rutenberg just said, that was...
You said something. You said, because you've been having trouble wrapping your head around why hire Todd Monken at his age and then trade Myles Garrett. Did they hire Todd Monken to be a winning coach this year, or did they hire Todd Monken to take the worst offense in the NFL and make it a developmental situation? Like, let's
make it better than what it
developing-
was, because it's the worst offense in the NFL. I don't know about that. I just keep going back to, did you actually talk to him? Because it sounds to some level like you didn't talk to him. Why don't you just go ahead and talk to him? Just go ahead and say things. Or you could just, you don't have to tell me the truth. All you have to say is, yeah, we're in contact, and he's a very busy man. Obviously, he's one of the premier players in the NFL, and we're talking. I have obviously full faith and confidence that he will be here during mandatory minicamp coming up here. It's not hard. That's not a hard answer to give. Was that a hard answer to give?
They are walking on eggshells around the Myles Garrett situation.
Well, Kenny,
the question is why.
I never thought Todd Monken was dancing around it. I thought he just answered the question. Goes, yeah, I know. You guys bring it up. Fine. Da 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 da. Like, I never had a problem with Todd Monken's answers.
If everything was fine and this was totally normal, I don't even think Todd Monken would be in a huff about it. I think he would be laughing about it. Like, he's like, oh, if you guys knew what I knew, it'd be fine. Like, come on, guys. Like, we can have fun about this. Even say some things off the record the minute the cameras are off. They're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. It's why people are speculating the way they are.
Mm-hmm. I don't. That is. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to. Do I ignore it? Do you want me to ignore it? Because isn't that bury my head in the sand?
I think it's at this point, like what we have to work with. I know I've seen people on social media because any of the clips that we have that our boss puts out, it's us speculating. I know the day the Cavs season's over, we move on to Brown's controversy, right? We're just building a controversy. I don't know. It seems to me that they fuel it with answers like that. Like this would be a very easy thing. If I were a coach that was being asked, if I was a defensive coordinator or a head coach, and I was being asked about Myles Garrett, and there was nothing to worry about whatsoever, I'd have 1,000 other ways to answer it than the way they've been answering it so far.
I never had a problem with the way Todd answered it. I don't like how Mike Rutenberg answered it. This is the first time.
You wouldn't be annoyed, though, like Todd was.
Oh,
you wouldn't be annoyed at all. You'd be laughing about it.
You'd be annoyed. You'd be annoyed because it keeps getting brought up. I would be annoyed. I am annoyed,
but
so I can understand where Todd's coming from.
You wouldn't be annoyed if this wasn't something to be annoyed with. Like, you just wouldn't be. Be like, well, we've got the best defensive player in the game. He'll be here in September. I'm not worried about it.
If it's something to not be annoyed by and people keep asking me about it, I'm going to get annoyed that it's not anything to be annoyed by, that people keep asking me whether or not I'm annoyed.
But you wouldn't.
If I just kept asking you all day, are you annoyed, you'd eventually get annoyed.
No, these coaches are so good at using off-the-record stuff, too. And once the cameras are away and going, hey, Mary Kay, hey, Daryl, guys, trust me, it's going to be okay. Off the record, between us. Like, you would not allow it to fester if it wasn't something.
Wait a minute. Mary Kay Cabot said yesterday he's not getting traded. She was emphatic about it. Well, we'll have her at 8:20 again. We will have to ask her again today at 8:20. She said he's not getting traded, so maybe they did pull her aside. But when I hear Mike Rutenberg answer the questions like that, like he says he's talked to Myles Garrett. He's been in communication with Myles Garrett. Has he been in communication with everybody else? They're all there, so obviously he's been in communication with everybody else.
Oh, good. Here's Denzel Ward. He was at a camp in Macedonia yesterday.
Okay.
Macedonia. Has he talked to Mike Rutenberg?
Okay, here's
an answer.
Even though I haven't been there, like I've been with like Coach Lynch. He's been calling me. We've been getting on calls and going over the playbook. And so I've still been learning the playbook and the new plays that's been going in. And so continue to do that. And then, so I've been watching the practices that they've been doing and how they run the plays and how guys are looking. So I'm still involved just from afar. I'm looking at it from a different view this time.
That doesn't make me feel any better at all. That was Denzel at his camp yesterday?
Yeah. At least we're hearing from Denzel.
Was Denzel asked about Myles? And was he annoyed by any Myles questions?
What's going on here?
He was asked what he's doing when he's not at OTAs.
I've just been training, working out. I got a girlfriend, so I've been, I gotta take her on some dates, and but I've just been working out, working my craft, and getting prepared for when I get back in there, and that's it.
I'm not gonna be comfortable until June 9th. That's the mandatory minicamp, right? June 9th, I think. I'm not gonna be comfortable till June 9th. And then if June 9th comes here and he's not here, well, I'm just going to hide under the table again.
Oh, yeah,
that's the way that's going to go.
If he's there, we can all laugh about it. And then
I sure as hell hope so.
People feel free to call us up and to say, you guys made a controversy out of this. Here it is. It's just like every year. Myles does this every year. And you know what? I'll sit here and say, okay, all right, let's go. Can't wait to see the defense.
Do you think that this is becoming a problem? For the first time in months, this whole thing, I am a little bit concerned hearing Mike Rutenberg there. I didn't like that answer. Talk me off the ledge. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. And at 643, a choice between now and later on the Fan. American Platinum Door.
Health and Recovery at 440-989-4900 or visit rivionhealth.org.
You can now watch The Fan live on YouTube. Catch The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima from 6 till 10 a.m. Baskin and Phelps 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. Each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
See, a lot of people feel like I did. Social media reactions on X brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Tara says, good grief, we're doing this right out of the gate. Well, yeah, thanks to the Cavs. I have to do it right out of the gate. It's not my fault. Don't blame me. Don't even blame Miles. Blame the Cavs. We should be getting ready for what, Game 6?
Yes.
Okay, blame the Cavs. Cavs got swept. Guardians won yesterday, but we have an off day today. So this is what we do right out of the gate. I have a DC who really just does not give a good answer. Keith, by the way, did not like my answer that I gave to you about Miles.
Why?
But what this is because, guys, I'm having an epiphany here, and Tara's upset. We're analyzing the answer from the defensive coordinator talking to Miles. Well, guys, there's a couple reasons why. One, again, is the Cavs that they lost, and here we are. The second thing is that he's the best player on the team, and he's the best player. He's one of the three best players in Browns history. I mean, he really is. There's Jim Brown, there's Otto Graham, there's him. One of the three best. That's it. I mean, there's more great players, but if we're power ranking him, he's number 3 in the entire near 80-year history of the Cleveland Browns, guys. Like it's a long history. It's been a good history in the past, and he's one of the very best. Of course, why wouldn't we talk about Myles Garrett? Like, Myles Garrett is a big deal, and him not being here is a real big deal. If he's not here when the season starts because of a trade, that's a really big deal. Like, we have to get to the nitty-gritty of this. And for the first time, like I have sat there and I have ridiculed Mike Tenenbaum for bringing up stupid stuff about the Lions trade, and I've ridiculed ESPN people, and I've tried to not ridicule just because all they're doing is giving us what people have said or what people have told them I should say, like Albert Breer. Why rip Albert Breer? He's given his opinion on why it would make sense, but he's also said basically, there's a lot of smoke out there in the NFL. Peter Schrager, nice guy. There's no point in me ripping him just because he's telling me something I don't want to hear. I don't want to talk about Myles Garrett being traded. I don't. Does anybody really want to? Because it would torpedo the season before it even starts. So now, if they traded Myles Garrett at the beginning of this coming month or whenever, it would torpedo the year. And you could say, well, Kenny, they're not going to be that good anyway. I'd like to at least find out first before we did all this. So what I've tried to remain calm and say, you guys are making a mountain out of a molehill, all the different things. But when I got a defensive coordinator, hemming and hawing, and when he's asked a question about whether or not he's talked to Myles Garrett, I don't like that. I don't like it. It makes me nervous, and it bothers me. And like for the first time ever, like I hear that, and during the break, I'm sitting here going, like, it's making me do things I didn't want to do. Well, during the break, I'm sitting there going, well, I mean, two ones and maybe 2 twos. And all right, what else? Like,
do you have a song attached to that?
No.
A catchy song?
No. I mean, we could find one soon enough. Like, that's where I'm at, guys. Like, I really did. I know Tara's upset, and I'm sure plenty of other people are upset going, we're starting the day with this. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Because I'm bothered now. And this is the first time I've actually been bothered by anything. Like, you brought up Todd Monken. Ken, why weren't you bothered by Todd Monken? Well, Todd Monken is a plain-speaking man, and I think he thinks he's smarter than me, I'm sure, but I think emotionally we start sounding like a lot of ways, do we not? And I think that he would be bothered by continuously being asked the question, just like I'm bothered about having to continuously bring it up. Okay, so and I've looked at history and I've tried to rationalize the history of going, well, he doesn't really show up to these things.
Which
these
is
are
true.
normal things,
that
whatever.
Is true.
But when you got the defensive coordinator humming, I'm like, all right, now my antennas are going up. I'm sorry, it's human nature. It's human nature because you got a lot of people out there. There is one camp that there are people out there. There are people in this station. Jonathan Peterlin thinks they're winning 10 games, right? He says 10-7. 10-7 Browns.
I thought that's what he said. I want to make sure because I feel bad if I'm
either way, he's
fixing
more
that to Jonathan.
Jonathan is more positive, or excuse me, he's more optimistic about the record than this show. I said 7, you said 6. There's a lot of people who are like, man, they're winning 3 games this year. Shut up, Kenny. This team, these quarterbacks suck. You ain't doing anything with these guys. All right, fine. But there is a very large sample size and wide range of opinions about where they're going to finish, whether they're really, really bad or actually really a surprise and really good just because they got rid of the head coach. Well, guys, if you're thinking the way Jonathan's thinking, Miles has to be on the football team. Miles has to be on the football team. And you can't give me, well, we didn't win many games with Miles. Guys, he won the game just being on the field against the Pittsburgh Steelers, just standing there.
It was the most insane thing I've ever seen.
He won the game. It was. I saw it live. I saw it later. I celebrated it live.
Kenny,
I put it in Pony's face, the whole thing. And he basically, he obviously was trying to sack the quarterback, but he honestly could have stood there. And Aaron Rodgers was completely preoccupied with number 95.
Hall of Fame quarterback with one of the most cowardice performances I've ever seen in the history of the game. Like, I thought it brought shame upon
it did
upon Aaron Rodgers.
Honestly, I agree. I thought it was unbecoming.
If I were the Steelers, I think that would have been the last straw with Aaron Rodgers.
If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd say this is a Hall of Fame career. This might be a footnote, but in this moment, it was unbecoming of a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, I don't think I would see Tom Brady pussyfooting around the situation
Joe Burrow didn't do
against one of these guys. Joe Burrow didn't pussyfoot around the situation. I don't see many of these other guys. And Aaron Rodgers was just looking at 95 the whole time, going, he ain't setting the record against me. And he let his team just lose the game because he didn't want the record set against him.
He threw the game away.
That is a major player. That is a major player and a major cog to what this franchise is. So they've won games just because of his mere presence. They haven't won many, but they've won games. So you can't just sit there. And I know we tell each other these things all the time to make ourselves feel better. But if they did move on from him, if I get a call first one out of the box, don't worry, we're still going to win 10 games. I'm just going to call you nuts. I'm going to say you are detached from reality, and I think most of Cleveland Browns fans across the country and across the world would think the same way. I don't want to torpedo a season before we start it. Then why did you hire the 60-year-old head coach for the first time ever? Why are we having conversations about Deshaun Watson? Like, Deshaun Watson makes more sense with Myles Garrett being on the field than he doesn't.
Yeah, we talked
because
about that
if you don't have Myles Garrett on the field, and you really didn't even push back.
No.
I had to sit there on the witness stand, but you didn't really even push back because I'm going, well, guys, if you're trading away Myles Garrett, you're telling the world exactly what you're doing. And if you're telling the world exactly what you're doing, then why are you playing the guy that nobody really wants to see? Like, it's just nuts. And I've been telling people this for months now. I mean, this has been going on. It's almost June. This has been going on the majority of 5 months here. From the end of the season on, it's been going on. Speculation, and part of that is just natural because they're not a good football team, and he's an exceptional player. Some of that's natural. But when I'm hearing the defensive coordinator kind of hemming and hawing and answering the question, the follow-up question before he's even answered the first question of whether or not you guys even spoke, I'm going, I detect a nervous man in a nervous situation who doesn't want to answer the question. Tell me I'm nuts.
What kind of interaction have you had with Myles Garrett?
Yeah, of course, knew that would be a question. I'm going to leave a lot of that interaction between me and Myles.
There has been some.
There has been some, yes.
So what is going to happen is today, people are going to see this. I'm going to get killed for it. Over worrying about something that we don't need to worry about, worrying about something that Myles does and I'm telling you guys right now, I hope you are right. I wish and pray that you are right because I don't want to trade him before the season. I want to go into this season with some sort of hope that they can get something going. I just don't want to sit there and spend an entire 17-game schedule. All right, what did Texas do this week? All right, what did Texas Tech do? Well, that's Brendan Sorsby. That's a different conversation. Yeah. Dante Moore over in Oregon. This, that. Like, guys, we've been through that before. You know that sucks. Sitting there and worrying more about Saturday football than anything on Sunday. We've been through that so many times, and you know that sucks, and you know that's what I'm trying to avoid. And if I'm just trying to avoid that something that's the inevitable, then fine. Because I've tried for so long because I want something right in front of us to matter, not the future. Because we're always, in 2 years we'll be good, in 3 years we'll be good, and all this other crap. And I see some talent on the field, and I know they need the quarterback to get it going, and I hope that either one of these guys can actually do it. But it just seems to be pointless if we're going to take Myles Garrett off the field and trade him for future good ideas. And then, obviously, Andrew Berry has to agree whether or not that he is so safe in his job that he'll actually get the chance to pick that quarterback. Because if you do it before the season, boy, that's a long time for Jimmy Haslam to sit there and change his mind as he goes to game after game after game and watches us lose and look like a bad or look like a worse defense when we've been a top 4 unit over the last 3 years with 95 on the field. I had to get that off my chest. I am going to get smoked today on social media. I hope I get smoked on the phones. I hope Mary Kay says I'm stupid and crazy. I hope all those things happen because I don't want the alternative to happen where people are going, you know what? The people have been wondering. They are right. Kenny, you should be scared. You should be worried. As soon as this calendar hits June 2nd, boy, we are off and running. And it's just going to get worse before it gets better. Sorry, I've been taken out of the air, out of the room.
Well, do you think this would have all been avoided? Do you think most of this conversation, except for like doomers, which I guess I've been accused of in the past.
But you haven't really been a doomer here over the last couple of years. You really haven't.
Do you think this would have been much less of a story had they not have restructured the contract? Do you think that allowed the speculation to kind of run rampant?
I think it was a little bit of a. It was a little bit of a fire log, I guess, a starter log. That kind of got the ball rolling with the thoughts of people.
Well, if they hadn't restructured it, though, today you'd go, they can't do it. It's economically not possible.
Exactly.
But now that they've done the restructure, you don't have that at least. Yeah. That point was something that everybody go, okay. I mean, Ken's right on that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that.
I can't do that anymore. Like, I used to sit there, you're right, before the restructure, I used to sit there and go, guys, he can't be traded. You can't put a football team together. Because before, remember, we were thinking maybe Deshaun Watson might be gone after June of this year. And it's like, man, if Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett is gone, you can't field 53 men. It's the dead cap hit is too much. And the dead cap hit would still be an exorbitant sum with this, but it would still be much easier to take, and then you would get your draft picks back, and then you're playing for the future. Like, this is just uncomfortable and unsettling. And I think that a lot of people I think that we're telling them something uncomfortable. They don't want to hear about it. Fine. But when I hear that from Mike Rutenberg, it bothers me. And I can't wait for Mary Kay Cabot to come on at 8:20 because she told Baskin and Phelps 2 days ago that he is not, capital N-O-T, not getting traded. And I need Mary Kay Cabot to kind of soothe my soul coming up at 8:20.
Maybe we need to bring her on sooner. We got to wait till 8:20 to soothe your soul.
She's a very busy lady, and we've had a lot of. I mean, this has been 8:20 on Thursdays has been a hallmark for many, many years with us and Mary Kay. So I'm not gonna hurry her up just to make me feel better. So 8:20 this morning, the first one out of the box, I'm gonna ask: Are they really even considering trading him? Because when I heard Mike Rutenberg yesterday, that was like the first time I went, "Oh God, I don't like this." 216-474-0092. Coming up next, a choice between now and later. And I'm not talking about the Browns on the Fan.
199.
can't listen to us live, we've got you covered. You can hear the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, Baskin and Phelps, an afternoon drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin as a podcast. Full hours, full shows. Find it all on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Mary Kay 820, first question out of the box. Are they going to trade him? And I want her to say absolutely not, and then I'm going to be happy, and then that's it.
What if Mary Kay walks off the show, says, I'm not going to
Wouldn't be the first time this week.
Phone call.
Wouldn't be the first time this week someone's walked out of here. Almost did it again, you. Jason Lloyd, 9 o'clock. He has walked out of here.
I would have been the walker this time.
I think you would have thrown somebody out the door before you walked out the way that was going. Anyway, Jason Lloyd again, 9 o'clock. Are these big changes to the roster just wishful thinking? These quote-unquote big changes coming to the roster? Afternoon Drive had an interesting conversation yesterday, and I wanted to bring it to you. Do we have to choose between Donovan and Evan?
Not necessarily.
Because my first thought is there is no choice. You pick Donovan. I go, whoa, wait a minute. Don't say that out loud just yet. I'm having an internal monologue externally. Don't just say it out loud just yet, because I'm going, well, one guy is a big, big wing. The other guy, he's tough, strong, but he is diminutive in size. But is Evan ever going to get to the place that Donovan is? So if you're forced, are we forced to make a choice here?
You're not forced to. There's no like immense timetable that says right this instant they gotta flip Evan to satiate Donovan, but there are, like, he has his player option, Donovan, and he's in line for more money. He could sign an extension today that would be cheaper for the Cavs, but would give Donovan the security, or they can wait a year. Then things are a little bit more up in the air, but then Donovan can get the $70 million per year. Remember, Donovan was not able to cash in at the highest value because of the Utah bird rights thing. So, on his side of things, he could be saying, I never got the most amount of money I could possibly get like some of these other players. And if I wait a year, I could do that. So those are the time-sensitive matters that are into this so far. But as far as, like, the team doesn't have to divide them up right this instant today, or it's dread, or we're going to be doing is LeBron staying or going thing every day with Donovan right this instant. It doesn't have to boil down to that. So no, to answer your question, I know it's a lot of words. They don't have to do something. I just assume they might, because I figured Dan Gilbert was getting antsy. That's all. But I don't know. Maybe he's not.
Hey, they failed
Maybe
a few years.
Maybe he's not at all.
They failed a few years ago, and people thought that was it a few years ago. When they lost to the Knicks, people thought that, okay, that can't be the way. And then they lost to the Celtics, and people go, they really can't bring this back. And they brought it right back. They did it again.
And they kept Kenny Atkinson.
So
they are keeping Kenny Atkinson. They're not going to the one thing that we tend to easily do in that league, which is, just fire the coach. Anybody can coach an NBA basketball team. We won a championship firing a coach mid-season, somebody who'd never coached before.
But you kept saying the other day, because you thought he was going to be gone by on Tuesday, you thought he might be gone by noon. And then yesterday, you were like, well, big changes must be coming. Do we know that? I don't know if we know that. Because
we do not know that.
I have one guy who, LeBron does have a no-trade clause. I got one guy who doesn't, but then you have to sign him to a contract, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. These are the two biggest pieces that we're going after here, that we're talking about here. And it's like, neither of these guys both of them have great reasons. Giannis actually has fewer, but both of them have great reasons why they would not want to be involved with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it would be nice to finish the career with LeBron here. It'd be nice to have Giannis here. He's a fabulous player. It speeds up the clock, but I think everybody's clock is sped up now. And it's already sped up even more after the James Harden trade. But, man, we keep bringing up the future and keep bringing up these trades. I'm going, they could very well go into October with this same exact squad. You can't guarantee any of this stuff. And I understand that there's going to be a malaise, but I don't know if they just kept Kenny Atkinson with the thoughts of them making major big-time changes. I don't think that you can do that, considering their history is on my side. When I make the argument going, you can't guarantee any of that stuff, their history is on my side, considering what I laid out for you there.
Yeah, well,
so you can't guarantee any of that.
Here is the interesting thing right now that has happened that hadn't happened before. So what do I say about Donovan Mitchell always when we've talked about him the last 4 years? He's a top 10-ish player in the NBA, and he is somebody that come playoff time has been able to elevate his game, make tough shots, put up those 30, 40, even 50-point games in the playoffs, and there's only a handful of guys in the league that can do that. But this is the first time, and I think you've seen some of this, and you let me know if you guys think I'm telling tales out of school here on Donovan. This is the most criticism I've ever seen him get. Like, this is the most... I thought in years past, he's been one of the guys that's been able to skate on because people have not put their failure to get out of the second round. They haven't
You're
really
talking about nationally or
yes,
Cleveland?
Nationally.
Because I think Cleveland, the tide has shifted on him from, well, he just can't lead us to a championship. I don't know that he's being criticized. It's just he's not the number one anymore. He's not the guy that will be the best player on a championship team. I think Cleveland's finally accepted that, right?
They know that he can't carry a team. Like LeBron, you could put so many different types of players and teams and coaches around him. He could drag them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Donovan can take over a game. He can't take over a series.
And what we also saw this year is that deterioration that we had seen by the end of the second round every year. Now it kind of was even more pronounced. Like, where was the burst? Tim Legler said on a pod yesterday, where were the dunks? He used to be a guy that could attack the rim. And
I think he's playing banged up. I think he was really banged up. But what he just said, that was the key, brother. See, this is where the Evan, and I know you want to play Fedor coming up here in a bit, and we will coming up at 7:01. We also got this Brendan Sorsby conversation to have coming up here around 7:22 this morning. Also, by the way, at 8 o'clock this morning, I want to tell everybody, it's not just a Browns town. You are a smart sports town, and I have proof coming up at 8:01. Like, you've accused us of just being a Browns town, Tone. I got proof coming up at 8:01 that we are not. It's a smart sports town, and that's not just me trying to play patty cakes. What Owen just said, that's the key. Because when Fedor, and we'll play that clip coming up at 7:01, I promise. When Fedor talks about, maybe the Cavs haven't empowered Evan enough. Maybe they've been trying to make him do things that he's not capable. See, there's still people. Evan had, and I know he had a couple of clunkers there. I mean, good God, they played 17 games of basketball, wasn't it? In the postseason.
You saw highs and lows out of everybody.
18 thank you. 18 games, my goodness. 18 games of basketball. You had, that's a quarter of a season in such a short amount of time. You have a guy who'd had a couple of clunkers in there. But, damn it, I thought he had a very nice series. I thought he had a very nice series, by and large, with all three opponents. I thought that he was a lone bright spot at times for the Knicks series. I don't think that he was afraid of the moment. And I also think that it's just still too little too late, maybe, for a lot of fans where they didn't see enough to fully trust him. Because had Evan been doing this during the regular season, had Evan not been kind of on the back burner there where he wasn't even mentioned after winning Defensive Player of the Year, he wasn't even mentioned among those guys. Like, you brought it up about All-Star Weekend. Like, Evan should take this personally. He was an
afterthought.
He's an afterthought. Had that have been a different story, I think there'd be a hell of a lot more people going, wait a minute, we have a 7-footer, a dynamic wing. We got what we wanted. Donovan can stay or leave. What Owen just said is damn straight. But I think a lot of people know in the back of their minds, like, hey, he might be more capable because of the type of player that he is, and that's perfectly fine. This is not a knock on Donovan. Some of this stuff is just science, genetics. You can't do very much. That Donovan, and we were saying this 3 years ago, eventually Evan has to take over. Did the Cavs do what's necessary to make sure that Evan was in a position to take over, and then Donovan could be in that passenger seat for him? And I think a lot of Cavs fans are thinking what Owen just said and don't want to say it, that they know that he's a number one on this team, okay? But ultimately, they'd be a hell of a lot more comfortable if Evan were the number one, you don't have to make crazy trades. You don't have to give up on your future.
So much
and
easier.
Donovan was naturally the number 2 on this basketball team. And because of where we're stuck at, because we still don't trust Evan enough, I love Evan and I'm still not there. Because we don't trust him enough, now we're forced to talk all these crazy things and machinations and basically begging guys who may or may not even be interested to come here and have pie in the sky ideas. He, in that room, is 100% right. He just said the quiet part out loud. 216-474-0092. I want to play that feed or audio when we come back because this might be a Cavs situation here and why we aren't feeling that way with Evan. But are we choosing between Donovan and Evan? And if you had to choose, which one are you choosing? If Owen was willing to say the quiet part out loud, are you willing to? 216-474-0092. Mary Kay, 822. You know how I felt from the very beginning of this show if you were listening to the Open. I didn't like what Mike Rutenberg said. Let's see if Mary Kay can make me feel better about Miles' future with this football team. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Mike Vrabel spoke ahead of Patriots OTAs today.
logic for, potentially trading him. I think it's solid logic. And this doesn't even have to be about him being happy, by the way. This could just be time, so we'll see what happens.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
$722, you have to ask yourself, is this the team that can support him? You want to make this move? We got to do this at the very end of the show yesterday. You want to make this move? I want to know. And at 8 o'clock, you're a much better sports town than what we've given you credit for. I've had one person who sits next to me for most of the days say, it's just a Browns town. I'm disappointed. No. I got proof now. You've agreed with me, and I've loved it, and I'll tell you why coming up at 8:01 this morning. 216-474-0092. So Fedor 02 here. The afternoon show discussed having to make a choice between Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. I think that right now I have to pick Donovan. Do you pick Donovan or do you pick Evan?
I called in the afternoon show yesterday and kind of made a case, but
You made a case for who?
For Donovan.
Okay, that you would keep Donovan.
But this is tough because, and we'll get to this Fedor clip. I'll be quick. Donovan has been considered a top 10 player. Evan Mobley has been more in the realm of 25th,
okay,
right? But obviously, Evan Mobley is so much of a better defender. He does a lot more things than Donovan does.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the Cavs, I don't want to make them seem like they're a bottom 5 team, which is, it's funny the way people talk about the team. They're down on everybody. They're down on the whole roster. And
they
I'm
get swept.
Man,
they're going to be down.
There are 23 teams that would trade their roster, I think, right now with the Cavs.
Yeah, but I think once we get past the finals, then if the Knicks go out there and they just get throttled or good, well, they might think we're even further away. If the Knicks go out there and win, maybe people are going to think we're closer. Who the hell knows? But I just think after the season, maybe people will warm up to them again compared to where they've been right now. This is not good.
But
not
yeah,
fun.
Evan is just his youth. You tend to think all these things are going to come because we do that all the time in every sport with young players, especially that you look at him and you see how dominant of a defensive player he was right away. And so the teams, the floor is always going to be higher with Evan Mobley. The question is, can he ever get to the peaks that Donovan Mitchell can? And if you remove Donovan from the equation, what are the Cavs the next 2 years?
If I remove Donovan from the equation and I add who?
And let's say you get a couple of okay wings, because you're not going to get – nobody's giving up elite wings. They're just not in this league. They can play defense.
Oh, my God. I didn't even realize that we're having the same conversation we had about Darius. Well, now what can we do? Now we're stuck. We have to pick Donovan. Who's going to trade? We're just going to have the same – you're just going to trade – who would you trade Donovan for? Is the Bucks ain't going to accept him? Or the Lakers? Maybe the Lakers.
Well,
the Lakers do
There's been this talk recently of Jaylen Brown and the Celtics. I just don't know why the Celtics would.
The Celtics would take Donovan Mitchell in a trade for Jaylen Brown.
Somebody tell me the impetus for the Celtics to take the far worse defensive player.
What
and
am I missing with Jaylen Brown? I think he's
player.
I think he's exceptional. Why is he even a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't know if it's run its course with Jason Tatum, but none of it is actual basketball-wise, because the basketball, Jaylen Brown is one of the best two-way players in the entire sport.
And you pick Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown. I'm not making an argument. I'm asking. You pick Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown. Why?
Probably... can be a more efficient offensive player.
Okay, that's fair.
So but I thought Jaylen Brown took huge steps forward the last 2 years in playmaking.
I think Jaylen Brown's fantastic. I love Donovan. I love what he's done here. I mean, if you were forcing me to make the trade, I'd make that trade.
I would take Jaylen Brown.
Okay, well,
for Donovan Mitchell immediately. I just don't think Boston would do it.
I just felt like I was the only person who was like, "What? We're not seeing the type of exceptional player like Jaylen Brown is." I mean, good God Almighty.
But I'm higher on Jaylen Brown than a lot of people.
Okay.
I mean, you see people still bring up the dribbling. People bring up, his shot selection. But he's just in the playoffs. I watch his defense.
Yeah.
And we just haven't had anything like that.
Because we're in a tough spot here. And Jason Lloyd's going to help us with this coming up at 9 o'clock. Because I want to know from him, are the big changes to the roster just wishful thinking? Is Donovan untouchable in this scenario here? I mean, while we're evaluating everything. Because, again, Owen brought it up in the last segment. I think there's probably some people, and I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to say it. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Because you made such a big trade for Donovan, it's everything gets poured into the Donovan pool. We do things for Donovan. We make these moves for Donovan. Everything is for him. He's the one that gets the motor going. But do we have to accept now that he is best as a passenger? Because I always thought if he were going to go anywhere else, he would go somewhere else and then accept being a passenger. Could he accept being a passenger here? But Fedor brought up something pretty incredible here. And he was on, who was he on with yesterday? Was this Afternoon Drive? Was this Fedor? This is Baskin Phelps.
Baskin Phelps.
Fedor was on Baskin Phelps yesterday. And he actually says that this is more on the Cavs for kind of inflating our thoughts on Evan Mobley, because we always thought that Evan Mobley would have to take over as the number one. And still, maybe he should naturally, but here's what Fedor had to say.
Part of the reason why these kinds of expectations and this standard has been set for Evan is because the organization has done that. Like, that's not me doing it. That's not you doing it. That's not the fans doing it. The organization did it. They brought up Wemby. They brought up Giannis. They brought up Anthony Davis. They brought up all these other lofty comparisons. The first game that he ever played, Kobe Altman called him transcendent. When you put that kind of pressure on a kid and you put those kinds of expectations and you say that's a standard that we expect him to reach, then people are going to expect him to reach that. And if he doesn't reach that, there's going to be a level of disappointment. So I have my doubts about Evan ever becoming the kind of offensive player that the Cavs have talked about him becoming. And because of that, I do think it's worth them exploring what could we possibly get. And if it does bring Giannis here, I don't think you can turn your back on that.
What he says makes a lot of sense. And we've had to wonder over and over, is he the type of guy that is going to take that next step? Because I thought he had a great postseason. I know there was a couple games that were just terrible, but considering Evan and considering all the things that we've been through with Evan, I thought it was a great postseason. I also brought up his draft class. I don't know right now, like Scotty Barnes, you would take him over Scotty Barnes. I understand Scotty Barnes has been a all-star, but Evan Mobley, you're taking him over Scotty Barnes, right? Obviously,
I would.
obviously.
But others say it's not so obvious.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at guys that you couldn't have taken, or you could have still taken. Like Cade Cunningham's the class of the class. Well, he wasn't there at number 3, so you can't do anything. Everybody else, there's just no conversation. He is Şengün, you could maybe if you wanted to, but you're not. Evan was the guy that you take. All right. So if it's Evan, then how do we get Evan from where he's been to where I put him in a driver's seat here? Or do I just cut my losses and do I speed up this clock even more? Because I got Donovan. Remember, James Harden is 37, and so people are going to be worried about him. And when the gas finally runs out on James, hell, some people are trying to make that claim over the Knicks series that the gas has finally run out on James. The other part of it is that you have Donovan, who's going to be 30 in September, and then you're going to bring in a guy who's 31. So you become the over-the-hill gang very, very quickly from one of the younger teams of the NBA to this, and it's like you got to win a championship now, or none of this stuff is going to happen, and we're going to be even angrier. Like I am desperate to make this thing pay off, without a doubt. I'll use the D word. But I still don't want to make moves without thinking about it first. We did this during the super team era when it came to Golden State. We didn't do it, but we saw it. A lot of teams made foolhardy moves to try to compete with Golden State because their jobs were on the line, they had to appease their owner, and they ended up being worse teams by making desperate moves here. Oklahoma City, I don't think, is going anywhere for a couple of years. San Antonio certainly isn't going anywhere for a couple of years. I don't want to make stupid moves to try to compete with them. I got to get out of the East first. The Knicks are the target now. How do I compete with the Knicks?
Let me ask you, what do the fans want? Because the fans did not like this iteration of the Cavs. Let's just be honest. Even though there was no drama, there was no diva.
I just didn't think they had faith in him.
Like even
I
James,
just didn't think they had faith in him.
Even when James came in, like he was not a diva. They didn't like the way he played in the Knicks series. Well, join the club. Like I don't think
not
fans
good.
didn't like the way anybody played in that series.
He wasn't good. I thought he gave effort. He wasn't very good.
I thought he was looking washed by the end of it. I think the mileage piled up and the usage piled up. Like I don't know why you trade for James Harden and make him guard the best player on the other team, and then put the ball in his hands. As much as they did, and then have him play the most minutes.
Yeah.
So that made no sense to me. But just overall, like, what do the fans? I honestly want to know: do the fans want them to take a step back so there's no expectations and then see and pray that, Miles, that Evan Mobley can grow? Is that what they want?
Can Miles grow? No, I'm kidding. Do they want to wait on Evan to see whether or not he can grow?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I think a lot of people are.
If you didn't like this iteration and thought there was a malaise, then you don't want them. Like, I don't know. Do you want a trade to get older in, I
think they want this to pay off. And if it involves Evan, then so be it. They want this to have the best chance of paying off because I think everybody's starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel going, this ain't going to last forever, and this probably ain't going to last till much further than next summer. And if that's the way a lot of Cavs fans are thinking, then yeah, make the trades that are necessary to try to max out the type of opportunity we have to win a championship. We lose our connection with these players. Giannis would just be here, just arrive here. Evan, we've seen him as a pup. Donovan, he just got here, but he's been here for so long, and he's the second best Cavalier to do it. We can argue all day, but I'll call him the second best Cavalier to do it. That matters. James Harden, you replaced Darius Garland, and there was a lot of people who really, really love Darius Garland. So you lose connection with your players, but you got to be better. And this is just not good enough. It's just not good enough. So would you rather go and make a move with Giannis, a guy who has been there? Now, he's been injured over the last couple of years. That's true.
Now, by the way, it's a lot of Heat speculation when it comes to Giannis, too, right now.
And that is something that we're going to have to take that into account. But I'm just talking about the Cavs. Like, I could try to sit here and make arguments about us compared, and you did yesterday, us compared to all these other teams in the East. But just leave it to us. And if you were to get Giannis, you got to get that thing going quickly. And I think he's in a place that we hoped that Evan may get to, and I don't think Evan's going to get there. Evan might have a fine future, but he's just not going to be that.
I did warn everybody, like, I would do that deal for Giannis. We don't know if Milwaukee would. We don't know if Giannis would be cool with it. But I would do that deal, but that would not solve all their issues. Like, that brings into play a few new issues. It also does solve some of them, but they would not be the favorites. There would be a lot of question marks. It would be risky because, again, you would be getting older, and you would be shortening your window. But my question is, what is the window right now? Is there a real window?
That's why I think that everything's on the table. That's why I think that Evan's on the table, because we can debate about windows all we want. This is not a great window. The Eastern Conference Finals, that was a fine enough goal for this, but with the way you lost the Eastern Conference Finals, no Cavs fan is satisfied. So if we're talking windows to what? Windows to keep finishing in the Eastern Conference semis? Windows,
which apparently was not good enough. Nobody seemed to care about that.
It's not apparently. It wasn't good enough. They don't care about that. And I don't think they even care about the finals. So I think they want to see a team get to the finals. So if they want to see a team get to the finals, then you're going to be having to make a trade.
Is that an impossible standard, too? The way this league works, like, I've gone over, there were a bunch of teams that got to the Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals, and there were no tools. Like, there's not a bunch of guys growing on trees that you can trade for that puts you in a better spot, because you got to give assets to get those guys. And there's only one I could point to is Toronto, when it was LeBronto, and they got gifted Kawhi Leonard because they were hopeless without Kawhi Leonard to win a championship.
Just over 1 hour from now, Mary Kay Cabot going to join us on the show. If you listen to the open of the show, you know very well the first question I'm going to ask Mary Kay Cabot, and it has to do with our defensive end on our football team, because I did not like Mike Rutenberg's answer yesterday, and you can hear that on the free Odyssey app. Also, remember, all Cavs conversations brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea. They ask you to please enjoy that Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly. 8 o'clock, it's a good sports town, not just a Browns town. I have proof. And you have to ask yourself, are we the team that can support this man and his needs? The man and his needs at 7:22 on the Fan. Classic Mazda, classic Honda, classic Toyota. Whatever you're in the mood for, whatever the mood strikes, they got it at Classic. Go on over to driveclassic.com and take a perusing of the classic Mazda on the east side.
YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I'm still uncomfortable with the Mike Rutenberg conversation. Are people hammering me on social media for being a little worried? I hope they are. I hope I'm getting smoked on social media.
Well, we are getting the typical, guys, you're reaching. This is not a story.
I want to tell you guys.
Ken wanted it to be a reach. He wanted it not to be a story.
I don't want it to be a story. If you're listening to this, I'm going to call an audible again. You're going to hate me, Owen. Can I get the Rutenberg, Rootin' Tootin' Fresh and Frutenberg again real quick?
What kind of interaction have you had with Myles Garrett?
Yeah, of course, knew that'd be a question. I'm going to leave a lot of that interaction between me and Myles.
There has been some.
There has been some, yes.
I didn't like how you immediately went to, I'm going to leave that between me and Myles. What do you got to leave between you two? I didn't even have to ask. You could always just say, my conversations with the players are always private. But that's kind of a follow-up question. Like, does he intend on being here? I expect him to be here, yeah, voluntary. But this is voluntary. We have mandatory camp coming up on June 9th. I expect him to be here June 9th. That's not hard. Is that hard to say? And I just didn't like the answer. And so when I hear an actual coach, like, rumors, schmoomers, it happens all the time. But when I hear an actual coach kind of hem and haw about it, I'm just like,
it seems
God.
like they don't know what to say.
It. Yeah, when you don't know what to say because you don't know the situation fully, because you don't want to give away too much or anything like it bothers me. And so now for the first time, I'm like kind of toying with the notion like, okay, what if they do trade him? What if they did? And I'm going, I don't want him traded yet. I don't want to start the season. Like someday, I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's going to finish his career anymore with the Browns. I've kind of gotten back and forth. I didn't think he would before the contract signed. Then I thought he was here forever. Then they redid this contract. And it's just like, yeah, we'll probably get to the end of it. And I just thought maybe we'd get to the end of it and you and I would be bickering about, hopefully it wouldn't matter because they'd be a good team by that, but it'd be bickering about what you could have got had you done it earlier, this, that, and the other. Now I have to toy with the notion. I do. I have to consider the option that he may not be here by mid-June or it may not be here in August with the Micah Parsons stuff, whatever it might be. I have to wonder about that and then wonder about the fallout. And the fallout to me is just so tremendous. We had Todd Monken in studio. We've talked to Todd Monken. Todd Monken is I'm an easy pigeon for people who are nice. If you're nice to me, I'm going to be pretty nice back and talk about you nice. Let's be serious. You are more you're a more difficult judge than I am when it comes to that stuff. He was nice to you, but you'll still call it as you see it. And you seem to like him. Like I don't want to torpedo his season right before the season starts. Because now I got to go to these guys and go, yeah, we traded away our best defensive player, but we're still trying to make the playoffs, guys. We're still trying. Like, that's tough. So I really hope when I'm hearing that audio that I'm just starting to get fatigued from hearing it and that I'm maybe getting a little bit too worked up. I'm hoping that I'm blowing this out of proportion a little bit. I really, really am. Because if they move on from him, and they get those picks are going to be great. You were going to get a substantial haul back. And I will make myself feel better with that. Yet there will still be, what are we doing this season? Is this season just a wash?
Do you think
I got 17 games to get through, and that's going to be a slog if it doesn't go our way without that guy.
Do you think a Myles trade would be a shock to Todd Monken?
Yes. Wait, at this point, well, after I just heard Mike Rutenberg, I can't say yes.
Well, like, what if when Todd Monken interviewed and they asked
January Todd Monken or May Todd Monken?
Might not be that crazy to May Todd Monken after I just heard what the defensive coordinator say. And it when the defensive coordinator is just hemming and hawing, it's like somebody got you ready for this question. Then you went and just beat him to the punch on it, and so now I'm like, what do you know? What do you know? What are they getting you ready for? Because he could have answered and goes, yeah, the speculation is stupid. We don't do this anywhere else, guys. This is voluntary. It is. We want guys here, but if people have things they have to do, there's a CBA. It's voluntary. I'll see him at mandatory minicamp. We expect him to be at mandatory minicamp.
To me, it sounds like he didn't necessarily want to say that, but that's what he's supposed to say.
Which one?
Mike Rudenberg. I don't think he wanted to. I think he gave the company line, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that he necessarily believed that answer. Maybe I don't know if they've talked for real.
Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering too. I go, have you actually spoken? I don't know if they've spoken. They've spoken, and there does come a time,
and he
guys,
comes off to me like a guy who just wants to put the truth out there, right?
There does come a time when you hear this so often that it just starts to affect my brains, and it affects my mental state of where the Browns are going to be in 2027. I ain't going to lie to anybody. Like, you guys tune in whether or not you want to tune in and hear it, and if you don't want to hear it, you tune out. That's fine. But for me, I get texted about it every day from all these people going, you are not seeing the truth here, Kenny. You need to recognize the truth. And I wonder if there are people out there who say I'm either making a big deal out of this, which I hope they are. I hope that they say I'm acting crazy, or are there people out there, Anthony? I do not have social media in front of me. Are they saying that finally I got my head out of the sand about this?
It just depends. Like there's always the homer part of the fan base, and there's always the doomer part of the fan base, and there seems to be no in between these days.
No.
So if you're the homer part of the fan base, you're saying basically what you had said, up until yesterday or up until today, which is Miles misses this every year, non-story.
And I've said that up until yesterday, and then I heard that answer, and then you played the Denzel Ward answer. He's like, yeah, I'm in constant contact. I'm not there all the time, and I'm texting all these coaches, and I'm talking to Brandon Lynch and all these guys. I'm going, oh, God.
Call him when I wake up, call him before bed.
Yeah, it's like, listen to Denzel here yesterday at his youth football camp.
Even though I haven't been there, I've been with Coach Lynch. He's been calling me. We've been getting on calls and going over the playbook. And so I've still been learning the playbook and the new plays that's been going in. And so continue to do that. And then, so I've been watching the practices that they've been doing and how they run the plays and how guys are looking. So I'm still involved just from afar. I'm looking at it from a different view this time.
Just give me like an Instagram post of you looking through a Microsoft Surface or something.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Just give me one of those.
I mean,
I'll feel a lot better.
As I've said throughout, it would be so easy to quiet all of this.
Just give me it.
This would be the easiest thing to quiet.
Just give me. I don't follow him on Instagram. I need an Instagram story of just him looking through something with Browns on it. That's all, and I'll feel a lot better about it. I have another question. Got some more audio to play for people here in a second about another person who could be a Cleveland Brown. Let me get to Gene in Cleveland first. Gene, the dancing machine, hit it.
Yeah, hey, listen, this media is way overblowing this. This is ridiculous. Why don't we worry about the guys? Garrett's got double-digit sacks 8 years in a row. Nobody else on the team has got 10. Alex Wright, where is he at? You're hoping Logan Fano can come through? You have nobody else on this team that can help this guy. This reminds me of Jim Brown when Modell sent Brown. He was going to fine him if he didn't come back to camp. Greatest running back ever.
Well, no one's – whoa. Nobody is going after Myles Garrett saying he's bad. I just want to know he's going to be on the.
It would be a topic of conversation right now. We have other problems on this team. The guy that hurt his knee yesterday, what has he done from Ohio State to tackle?
Mike Hall.
He hasn't done anything. So I mean,
because all of that stuff though is moot if they end up trading Myles Garrett, right? Like none of that stuff matters.
Why would you trade the only guy you got?
Why do any good players get traded ever? Because their timelines don't match the rest of the team.
This is one of the greatest defensive players.
Yeah, great players get traded all the time in sports.
Not the greatest in your team history. He's the greatest player. You got Jim Brown and him. They're the greatest athletic players ever to put on a Browns uniform. And no one's even close. They're in another stratosphere. No one's even. And the other thing, he has a life. He's out there enjoying his life.
Gene.
He's different.
It's not about Gene. I have said I don't know where Alex Wright is not a problem to me. Or Mike Hall. Did he end up being fine?
They said they don't think it's severe.
All right,
or
thank God.
Like
because I want him to have a decent future here. I mean, my God, he was a second-round pick. Gene, it's not about him not being there. I don't need him to be there. I mean, I made that abundantly clear. I just want to make sure he's on the team this year. That's what my issue is.
He'll be on the team. Todd Monken.
I hope you're right.
Todd Monken went into the Baltimore locker room last year and said, we got to stop 95.
Mm-hmm.
You better believe he said that before the game when they played the Browns. And he still had 4 sacks in that game. He couldn't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way Monken or anybody else on this organization's going to let that go.
So they're just.
And if it happens, what you just said to me is going to make me feel even worse.
You think Miles is going to finish his career at Cleveland Brown?
It's going to be close. I mean, he's going to sign another contract. He's not.
Well, that's true. He could do that.
This great. He could play. He could be 35 years old and still get 8 to 10 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a genetic freak. He's a genetic accident.
He's up there.
People just aren't that big and can move that fast and bend the way he does.
So there's no offer. There's no offer you would ever entertain for somebody this good.
The minute you trade Myles Garrett for 4 or 5 first-round draft picks, none of those players are going to be half as good as him.
Yeah, but they've had him and they haven't won. So how do you form a football team that can win?
And that's his fault.
No, nobody's saying it's his fault. No, nobody's saying it's his fault.
Gene,
right. So you need great players to win.
I know where you're
coming. Jim Brown only won 1 championship here, but they held on to him until they won it.
Well, Gene, I know where you're coming from. Okay, and I agree with you for the most part. Let me turn it in a different direction here, and thank you very much for the call. If you're trading him for a bunch of draft picks, there's only one position you're really worried about. See, this is why it's the perfect storm, is you have 5 different quarterbacks we're talking about. I mean, good God, we're about to talk about Brendan Sorsby here in just a moment, once I get done with this sentence, is you know that quarterbacks matter, and they matter more than defensive ends. There's been Joe Burrow's always going to be a threat, and his defensive end has been Trey Hendrickson, who's been nice, and they don't care. Lamar Jackson's always a threat. These guys, they got good football players on their team, but you need to have that quarterback. And it is the perfect storm of getting yourself ready for 2027. Nobody except for their most ardent fans think that these guys that are in their quarterback room right now are franchise QBs. I mean, we're about to have a Brendan Sorsby conversation here in a second. So I now can't deny that that's a possibility.
Like they could literally
I can't deny that it's a possibility.
They could literally win more games next year without Myles Garrett and an average to below average player at his position. And a much better quarterback. That could alone have you win more games. Like this notion that Myles Garrett is the only way you can win when I see a team win the Super Bowl and go to the AFC Championship and NFC Championship game every year and make the playoffs every year that don't have the best defensive player. Like it's about building a team.
But I'll tell you this.
And the question is, can they build a team right now while Myles is in his prime that he can help you? Because, I mean, he should be able to help you once you get to the playoffs.
Yes. That's kind of where it is. Are you, when it comes to that quarterback, are you willing to give a chance to Brendan Sorsby if he comes out in the supplemental draft?
Oh, I'm investigating. I mean, without a doubt, Kenny. When I hear he could be a top 5 pick next year and you can get him this year without tanking.
When you first brought it up, I was like, absolutely not. Then I got Breer 05 over here from the other day where I'm like, okay, I could kind of hear this, but go right on ahead.
If you're going to draft Brendan Sorsby, you should do it with the idea that this is going to be a redshirt year for him. And with the benefit that if you do draft him and you do get him, maybe there's some sort of NFL suspension. I'm not sure how they're going to work that. There's obviously the Terrell Pryor precedent. You would hope that at least this was treated like a drug suspension where you can have the guy in the building and he can be doing some work with your people. And so you get to know him and you get kind of a head start on what would be his rookie year of 2027.
That makes it much more palatable for me. Yet, if you get Brendan Sorsby in the supplemental draft in July, I don't want to have already traded Myles Garrett then. Because then you're killing your season before it even starts. You're killing your father, Larry. You're killing your season before it even starts. I really, truly believe that. So we're going to have this guy in the supplemental draft, if you take him, and he already has his own bowl of wax we'll get to in just a moment. But now I have this guy who's in the hole here that might be on my team, might not be on my team. You got to get some stuff figured out with the NFL because of the gambling stuff. Then I go into next year's draft class. What am I going to do? Am I going to completely ignore Dante Moore? Say you don't get the number 1 overall pick. Am I going to ignore Dante Moore or Lenoris Sellers or all those guys because I took Brendan Sorsby, who has an admitted gambling problem? And he's got to get his stuff figured out with the NFL if he doesn't get his injunction. I hope for the good of everybody. I hope he gets his injunction and he's able to play college football. And if he goes out there and he proves it, fine. Because I got Albert Breer in the same breath saying, well, there's been people who said he's going to be a top 5 guy. And I could say, yeah, there were people who thought that Drew Aller was going to be a top 5 guy. The guy's name was Andrew Berry had he came out after the Notre Dame game. If the Notre Dame game went well for Drew Aller, they were going to take him in the top 5, damn it. Like this is what gets brought up. So you can give me Brendan Sorsby might be a top 5 guy, but damn, man.
I love this guy's athleticism and arm talent way more than Drew Aller.
Matt Barkley could have been a first-round pick. Garrett Nussmeier was going to be a first-round pick. You can go on and on with all these guys who ended up going back, ended up sucking up the room, and then we never heard from him again. So if you're telling me he could be a top 5 pick, that's great. But there's been plenty other guys who have been saying that, and I'm going to give up maybe a second-round pick and the supplemental draft for him, and then I'm going to get rid of Myles Garrett before that too. Holy wow. And then I have to make sure that he doesn't have more problems gambling and ends up in problems with us.
That's a big question.
Which you have to ask yourself, do you or do you not believe? Do you or do you not believe that this is a football team that can support a guy who comes in with admitted problems? What do most Browns fans think?
They've never been before, but maybe Todd Monken, it's different. I don't know.
Is the leopard going to change its spots, Tone? Mary Kay Cabot, 822. Up in 5 minutes, the end of a great Northeast Ohio tradition. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan.
It's Anthony.
moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. He couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Cleveland Guardians salvaged Game 3 of their series against the Washington Nationals in a 3-2 victory. Gavin Williams now becomes the only pitcher in baseball with 5 starts of 7+ innings, allowing 1 run or less. And Travis Bazzana, I know that I poo-poo on batting average all the time, but this one's high enough to matter. He's hitting .390 since May 17th, and he's had an extra base hit in each of the last 5 games.
Where's your cutoff line for batting average then?
I think 350. If you're hitting higher than 350, that's solid.
There you go. Okay.
But Travis Bazzana, I think he's living up to the hype. But how long does he have to do this for you to anoint him like he's this really good player? Because I feel like guys will have stretches and then they won't play well the next year.
He's already been elevated to the leadoff for a contending team.
Yeah, this has been
a
longer.
team that's in first place. And
John,
he should have had 3 extra base hits yesterday.
Heed these words carefully from them, because the last guy that did this, they said $30 million a year, and now they want him out of town.
I'm just saying he's played 26
I don't want him out
games.
of town.
You told him, get out of town, Steve. Stevie, baby, hit the bricks. That's a quote.
Yeah, he's got you there.
It's not a quote.
He's got
I heard you say it.
You made me sound like John Lovitz. What the hell? I kind of like it, though. Now I kind of want to say it. If he does get traded, that's what I'm saying.
He's a 1950s producer in Hollywood.
Stevie, baby, you just can't do it anymore. You just don't have it anymore. It's time to cut your losses, baby. Get out of here. Get out of here on the first thing smoking. Hit the bricks. Hit the bricks. You can't do it no more. No, you just don't have it. I still want him to work out. I ain't going to pay him $30 million.
Play the whoosh sound now.
Whoosh.
In Akron, the Senior Players Championship is moving from Akron's Firestone Country Club out to California.
This is Bolsheviks.
Bolsheviks. Wow. They will be without a pro tournament for the first time since 1954.
You know who the Bolsheviks were?
Some European group that killed a bunch of people.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. Spicy. Sorry, John. Go right on ahead.
So they actually lost a PGA Tour event to Memphis about 10 years ago. This is his second one coming out. Like this, I mean, you guys know this better than I do, but like, this was a super important tournament that brought a lot of big-time major golfers, big names to the community.
Well, is the death of Tiger's golf career the death of the tournament?
Well, God, how many wins did he have?
Didn't he win like 4 in a row?
I mean,
at one point
he was a fixture, and then Phil Mickelson would always play well there. So you had the best players in the world coming to. I remember when it was the NEC World Series of Golf. Mm-hmm. There were major purses that were involved with that tournament, and I knew when they went to the senior version of it, we were wondering for how long. How long are the sponsors going to hold
You wondered. I didn't wonder. I thought you were kind of nuts when you first said it, and then you were right.
Well,
you were
it's just tough. Now remember, it was always during a rough weekend too, but because Tiger was here, it didn't matter. But it would go up against the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies and everything, but Tiger was Tiger, so it didn't matter. Well, once Tiger fell off a cliff and had his issues, all right, who are you going to see? And then the sponsorship whole thing flew, and then you realize the PGA Tour is all about their title sponsors. That matters more than anything else. There's more politics involved with that stuff. So what, didn't we lose an event to Memphis?
Yeah, that was the first one. That was the FedEx thing. We lost to Memphis.
In which they don't have a hotel for NBA players, but apparently they have hotels aplenty
they have a
for their
giant pyramid on the river there.
And they can just stay there.
Nick Camino.
It's a Bass Pro Shop, too.
Nick Camino, our buddy, he tweeted about this yesterday. Said he really hopes the PGA Tour, he added them, so he made sure they saw it there.
Camino, tough talking Nick.
Camino had said he hopes that it makes a return to Northeast Ohio. He has picks to host. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Canterbury Golf Club, Pepper Pike Golf Club, The Country Club, Barrington Golf Club, Lakewood Country Club, Firestone Country Club, Kirtland Country Club.
It just sounds like Nick wants to get free golf at those country clubs because almost none of them could actually host. Like, you got to think the sheer grounds that you need. You know, Canterbury has had, senior PGA events before, like a major, and they've had other, big-time qualifiers and stuff, but you just don't have the grounds at a lot of these places.
You don't have to worry about a ton of spectators or anything like that for the senior stuff.
And the dimensions, like these old country clubs, there's no room to keep moving back tee boxes when these guys can routinely hit the ball 350 yards.
I've never actually.
These courses were built in like the 1930s.
I've been to Firestone as a media member and a patron, but I've never been to any of these other places.
They have to call them patrons there too.
Would you like to go, Kenny?
To say it. No. What am I going to do?
Would you like
golf at one of these
see
places?
Some of the sports executives in town at these
Just go out there and duff it in front of them, embarrass myself.
That's
whatever.
the fun, though. Come on.
Is it fun to do that? I'd rather do that at like a muni. I'd rather when we had back in the day Green Valley in New Philadelphia. $13, 18 in a cart. You sneak your beers on there. Of course, I was at an age I shouldn't be saying that at that time. You sneak your beers down there. You have a good time. $13. You could duff it all you want. We used to race the golf carts down the hill.
You have to.
Didn't matter. But at one of these places, I can't go out there and play bad, lousy golf and ass off at Barrington Golf Club. They'll throw me right out of the place.
They said one of the reasons Mike Trout doesn't necessarily perform here when he comes into Cleveland is because he's out golfing the entire time at Country and Pepper and Firestone.
I'm going to go ahead and this has been a while since we've had to hit this
Reckless speculation.
Few visits at the halfway house.
That was not a measured statement
maybe
by you.
some in a few airstrikes.
There was not a measured statement by you.
Adam Silver was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he's talking about using AI referees. Take a listen.
I think in terms of replay, we're going to get to the point fairly quickly where just like you're a tennis fan and they have Hawkeye and you quickly see where the line was and the oohs and ahs of the crowd had touched the line or it was out of bounds, we're going to move to a system like that where that whole category of calls will be automatic. It's going to be Laker ball, Nick ball, whatever it is. Those calls will be done by an AI automated system with cameras lined around the court, and it'll take all of those so-called objective calls out of the hands of the referees. It'll be instantaneous. It'll be automatic. Just play on. Let's go. Spurs inbound, and you'll move on. You won't have to deal with challenges on those calls.
Lima, you have to be all for this.
I love it. I absolutely love it because the minute they introduced the type of instant replay, comprehensive instant replay they had today, it killed the flow of these games.
As long as it's quicker, I'm down with it.
And
as long as it's quicker.
It made you realize that, man, so many of these calls, like I can watch an out of bounds off a deflection. Who is it off last? I can watch the same video 20 times and not know who it went off last. It's that when you realize, oh, this is kind of silly. Let's just move on. There's 1,000 possessions in these games. We don't need to agonize. Even in the playoffs, we don't need to agonize over this in the second quarter of a game whose ball it is. There's going to be plenty of time to make up for it, especially when the Knicks can erase a 22-point deficit in like 7.5 minutes.
That's it for About Last Night.
Outstanding as always. Well done. I got to sneeze.
Here we go.
I'd like to play those golf courses too, Nick. I'm not bashing.
Sorry, thank you.
I still haven't played Pepper. Oh, and you would go?
I'd go. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to let us just play there.
We need a CEO to get on the Pepper. Yeah. That's a tough one. That one just doesn't get played.
I don't even know where that is.
There's like no divots.
I did one. I got one. I went to Beachmont, right?
Yeah, we played Beachmont.
That was the only one I was at.
I love that course.
They were so nice. We played in that Austin car thing, and they were so nice. And my first drive, I was like, guys, I'm really bad. You guys don't understand this. And then I laced the first drive. They go, oh, my God, did you really need to lie to us? And then everything else was just all over the place. Terrible. I was like, hey, you got one good shot in you. That's where it works. That's the way it works. And I didn't even get to golf on vacation, which I was actually kind of relieved about. 820, Mary Kay Cabot. I hope she will give me some peace of mind myself. Because the first question I'm going to ask is whether or not Myles Garrett is actually getting moved here. Because I did not like Mike Rutenberg's answer yesterday during the media availability after the OTAs. Coming up next, though, guys, I got to take a bit of a champion's pose here. Because this isn't just a Brownstown. No. You've been accused of being just a Brownstown. I have now proof that it's a smart sports town. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app. It's fat and thin in the morning on the Fan. Extend Technologies. I'm beating Tone to it. Tone and I are going over there today.
Cannot wait.
podium I've ever heard in my life. Atkinson, how in a matter of like 2 weeks did he expose himself as the biggest fraud in the NBA history? How did this happen? How did this happen so quickly with him?
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
It's just a Browns 10. Fans. And you get all mad and you say, these fans, they ain't smart and all that other stuff. Well, you don't say it like I do. I don't say that. You say it, but I say it. I don't know why I have that thing when I get mad. But Mary Kay Cabot's going to join us at 8:22. So you get mad and say, it's just a bandstand. It's a bandstand. And I go, no, it's a good sports town. And sometimes I get a little bit befuddled myself. And Ben Axelrod had asked a question because our good buddy Ben Axelrod, local from Front Office Sports, formerly Awful Announcing, was very nice to us because there's been several times in the history where he could have really hammered us. Probably could have hammered us for the blow-up we had yesterday at 8:45 where you walked out of the studio. Knicks fans got a hold of that, by the way.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did.
What'd they say?
I don't know. I was told about something on Reddit. My buddy Steve, who used to work here, he's like, what the hell happened to you guys? I go, guys,
We've only had 3 blow-ups in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, these are trying times, man. I said, I found a little, he says little things to me and I get mad, and I found one little thing that he can't itch, and here it is. But either way, yesterday, Travis Kelce, it was announced, and it was announced during the show, that he had bought a minority stake in the Guardians. And you asked, what would Cleveland fans rather see? Would they rather see him play his final year with the Cleveland Browns or own a minority stake with the Cleveland Guardians? And I said Cleveland Guardians. 100% Cleveland Guardians to me. I go, what's Travis Kelce going to do for the Browns at 37 years old? We got Harold Fannin Jr. We'll see what we have with other guys. But Travis Kelce, it's just some nice thing. He'd probably get 400 yards in his last year in the NFL. Great. And it really wouldn't even be remembered by most of the NFL. It's just it's a guy coming home to play for your team. That's it. It happens here and there. It doesn't have anywhere near the staying power to me as it does with Cleveland. Well, he put out a poll, own a stake in the Guardians, because he had asked Ken Carman and Anthony Lima this morning, would Cleveland fans rather see Travis Kelce own a stake in the Guards or play for the Browns? Overwhelmingly, they picked the Guardians. And Bennett said, I stand corrected here. I thought Ken was crazy for saying more fans would prefer the Guards' ownership. I probably underestimated the current apathy towards the Browns. I also think people are going to be disappointed if they think Travis's minority stake is going to mean a payroll infusion to the roster. Now, I never made that argument. My argument was
you were hoping. Hopefully.
My argument is that there's always a possibility. Because when I read the Jeff Passan story, he mentioned several athletes who have stakes in baseball teams. LeBron has a stake in the Red Sox. Mahomes has a stake in the Royals. A couple other guys, right? And my whole thought of it was, hey, it probably is a 1% stake. However, this is a guy who, in so many ways, he's Tom Brady. He made a lot of money. Now, he didn't make quarterback money, but he made a lot of money in the NFL, hell of a lot of money. And his to-be wife makes a hell of a lot of money, except I'm sure she makes a hell of a lot more than Gisele Bündchen does. I'm sure Gisele Bündchen, I know they're separated and divorced now, but I'm sure Gisele Bündchen does well. You ain't messing with Taylor Swift money. And if it's all their money, right, it probably is 1%. Nothing's stopping it from being 5%. Nothing's stopping it. The only person who might be stopping it is David Blitzer. What's stopping it other than David Blitzer from being 15%? What's stopping it from David Blitzer to turning it into a John Sherman share of maybe 20% or whatever it is, depending on if they think it's a good investment? Because a guy like Travis Kelce she seems to be a nice person. I don't know her, but everybody who meets her says, boy, she's really great to the fans, really great to all the people around her and all this, that, and the other. So, okay, great. That's nice. But she's also a savvy business person, as we found out. You've brought up the stories before. And I'm not trying to make this a long story. Let me shorten it up. What if they just find it to be good business? That, hey, we can make money off baseball teams. That's why the Dolans bought it for $300 million. That's why the Blitzers, or David Blitzer, is going to buy the majority of it for probably over $1 billion. We can make money off this if we invest it. Is this the right investment? And would a guy like Travis Kelce, or he might be one of the guys around it, but he wouldn't be standing there hoisting the trophy. If you actually have a stake in this and you added more money to this organization, to this ball club, why couldn't he be up there on the stage if we won a World Series? And furthermore, let me say this. David Blitzer, from everything I hear, and I've been doing some snooping, they're going, Kenny, you ain't got to worry about it, because the thing we give Paul Dolan, he's not great on the mic. It was kind of a Mike Rutenberg there when it comes to making you worried about your players. He still has Cleveland's best interest at heart, and Travis Kelce has Cleveland's best interest at heart. But what David Blitzer shares with Dolan is that he don't want to mess with the front office, from what I'm told. He's not going to just take it over and it's going to turn into his plaything. He wants it to kind of continue the way it is and leave it alone. Why can't Travis Kelce help make an investment, a sound investment in this team with already a good front office to help them get over the hump and possibly break the drought that's been going on for 78 years now? That would be a remarkable story. And I think a guy like Travis Kelce, who definitely has put his money where his mouth is to what he thinks about the city of Cleveland, I think it'd be a great thing. And I think it's a much better prospect. These are both wild ideas. I don't think Travis Kelce will play for the Browns. I think Travis Kelce will retire a Chief, and that'll be the end of it. But if we're dreaming here, yeah, Travis Kelce owning 1%, which could possibly be 2 to 3 to whatever, and helping out this ball club and being a part of this ball club with he and his wife, it has a much better payoff for the city of Cleveland and its fans than Travis Kelce playing one season for the Cleveland Browns. And thank God the majority of people agree with me on this.
Well,
I was very proud of the sports fans of Cleveland.
I didn't mean to kill the conversation yesterday by just downplaying a 1% share. We don't even know if it's 1%. It might be half of 1%. Maybe it's only $8.5 million. So I don't know on their valuation of, I think it's $1.7 billion. I've seen so many celebrities and also athletes like do these types of things with teams, and it doesn't mean any kind of infusion in cash, whether they're. And then I thought of the Charles Woodson example with the Browns. I mean, that's already over.
That's a great example.
But what was that like? Were people excited about that at first, and then it died, and then you found out he wasn't even involved?
I thought it was interesting. Which, by the way, he chose the wine over or the booze over the team. Which I got set straight on that. I thought that wasn't a very
him more in the end.
It is going to net him more
if it works out for him.
But in the end, like the reason, and maybe I was just giving an all-time dated take, is just I have heard Browns fans clamor to have Travis Kelce come home and play a year in a Browns uniform, and maybe just because they saw him last year, now they're like, oh yeah, maybe we don't want that.
I look at it differently. I say,
Browns, how was he last year? I know he was.
For a while he was on pace to break 1,000 yards. He was having a very good season for a while there. Fine.
But he wasn't.
Just the whole season was.
Yeah, but I thought for the first 8 weeks or so he was having a bit of a renaissance there. I mean, he was having a pretty nice year, and then things got banged up. He got banged up. Mahomes obviously got hurt. You know better than me. I'm saying
people are greatly overestimating how much money he has. He's only made, including this year, which he just signed $12 million, a 1 year, $12 million deal. He's only made $123 million. That includes this season. It's not like. I mean, Mahomes has, 6 times that.
I don't mean to be disrespectful and look into the to-be-married couple's finances, but that's kind of where
I'm here. It says their couple's net worth is $1.69 billion, of which he has the $0.09 billion of that.
She's not going to just sit there and go, hey, spend all this money because it's your plaything.
It's just a way for a Cleveland guy who came into, he's made a little money to kind of be connected to the town that he doesn't currently reside in, but he's always had an affinity for, and they've they've named their podcast partly after where they grew up and all that, right?
And I know it could just be one, and if it's only 1% and it stays at 1% or a half of a 1% or whatever, if they need to get pushed over, there's plenty of guys who own a piece of a team, a minority stake of the team, and it's just basically they're glorified season ticket holders. And maybe that's what Travis is. But I'm talking about the potential. The Browns don't need Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce don't need the Browns. The Browns got money falling out of their pockets. They're fine. But we talk about it year after year and day after day.
You don't think it would be cool? You don't think it'd be cool to see him wear a Browns uniform?
It'd be kind of cool.
He grew up rooting for the Browns. There's that picture. That would be the entire season they would show that.
Help the team out, it'd be cool. I don't think it'd be cool if he came in and it was one of those things where he can't even get on the field for half
That's true. That's true. I think it would be kind of cool, but it just has so much more lasting staying power for a team that could use his help, and that's the Guardians, the team that could use an infusion of cash, whatever that may be, if he decides and he and his wife choose to have that infusion of cash. They could very well not. I'm not going to sit here and cuss out Travis Kelce in 2030 saying that he ain't spent enough money on this damn ball club. That ain't going to happen. It's 1%. If it is 1%, but I'm not sure the actual number.
It also tells me, we've worried forever. There was the worry that they could leave a few years ago before the stadium got, well, this is a blitzer who's not a Clevelander going out and getting a Cleveland guy who maybe at some point he goes, hey, what's the city think I should do on this or that decision? And Travis Kelce can be that guy who grew up going to those games and having that fan perspective, maybe he's not the common man, but maybe more for the common Clevelander.
Yeah. Like Travis Kelce playing on next year's Browns in 2027. Hopefully they're getting some things figured out there. It just doesn't do as much. I think that a lot of people have the right idea about this, that in the grand scheme of things, he can do so much more for the Guardians than he could do for the Browns in one season playing for the Cleveland Browns. And you may not see it because he's not going to play baseball for the Guardians. He'll throw out the first pitch, and maybe he can get Taylor to sing the national anthem, all that other stuff. Who knows? But it's certainly more for the Guardians and more for the overall, to me, better for the overall health of Cleveland sports if he is attached to the Guardians than he is with the Browns. And I'm glad the majority of people seem to agree with me on that. That's a good sports town right there.
I would
Tone.
just manage your expectations on this ownership stake thing.
Well, I'm not spending his money.
I have a feeling we're not going to talk about it much over the next 5 years, but we'll see. I'd be pleasantly surprised, and I hope to be surprised.
There's been a lot of things that we've argued about over the years that ended up turning into nothing. Just like what a lot of people think that this Myles Garrett stuff is going to turn into, which I will ask Mary Kay right out of the chute, coming up in 5 minutes, because of all the words and all the rumors and all the innuendo, it was Mike Rutenberg that got me a little nervous yesterday. So now I want to go right to Mary Kay, the first one out of the box. Does she think that he actually could get traded this summer? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, the answer on Myles and 5 on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here.
sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
It's Thursday. It's 8:20. It's time for Mary Kay Cabot. She appears on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline. Mary Kay, let's cut the pleasantries right out of here. Is Myles Garrett going to be a Cleveland Brown week 1 of this NFL season?
Yes, I really do believe so. I don't think that...
Whoa!
Yeah!
Well, that'll put the speculation to bed.
Well, no. Remember, because everybody when she writes about quarterbacks, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay, well now does she know what she's talking about? Mary Kay, I'm going to take what you said and I'm going to run with it. I don't run very fast, but I'm going to run with it.
Well, I just really believe that when they've told us over and over that he's a career Brown and that they're not trading him and that they expect him to come here and have a great season, I'm going to take them at their word for that. But now, having said that, there has to be a little bit of a caveat. I suppose there is a world. You can never say never in these situations.
No.
Because if someone came along and made them an incredible offer that they couldn't refuse, perhaps they would consider it. But at this moment in time, I just don't see that happening.
Mary Kay, they do seem annoyed that every chance they get, they're being asked about it. And, we're sitting here, admittedly, we are trying to parse every subject, every predicate, any type of response, the body language, their eye movement. We're looking for tells. It would be very easy for Myles Garrett or the coaches to come out and discuss the types of communication they're truly having. They seem to want to dance around it. That's what is bizarre to us.
Well, when I asked Todd point blank the nature of his communication with Myles Garrett at the voluntary minicamp in April, and he said they've exchanged a couple of text messages so far. But at that time, he also said, you guys are making a big deal out of this. This is not a big deal. We know Myles. We know he'll be here and be ready to play. Now, all you have to do is look at Myles' Instagram to see that he's been traveling most of the offseason. I think he's in Korea right now. And, he's been all over the place. He spent a lot of time in Asia with his girlfriend, Chloe. They filmed a commercial. So Myles is off doing Myles Garrett type of things, but it didn't prevent him last year from winning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, from setting the sack record. They're not worried about it. So I just don't think that there's trade winds blowing with Myles Garrett right now. I think he'll be here.
Do you think, though, Mary Kay, that in this era where these athletes do podcasts or they could just go on social media, I mean, he could make all this disappear with one 15-second clip that would take him exactly 15 seconds to upload and produce? Do you think he enjoys the fact that the national publications and First Take and the debate shows that they're all using this and shows like this for fodder? Because he could make it disappear so fast.
Well, he definitely moves the needle, and he is definitely going to be a national topic of conversation. He always has been, especially after, the very public trade demand back at the Super Bowl that year. So he definitely does bring a lot of national attention. But, again, he's out doing his own thing, and he does things his own way. And maybe he doesn't mind some speculation. Maybe he doesn't mind some of the attention. I'm not really too sure about that. We haven't had a chance to ask him. But when I see him out there doing Myles stuff, he's taking photos. Like I said, in Asia, he's enjoying awards ceremonies and doing some celebrity stuff. I think he's living his life. I don't think he's on social media every day wondering, what ESPN is saying about him. I just don't think that's Myles.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the show. Your thoughts about Deshaun Watson. I just got rid of your tweet. It was about Deshaun Watson in 2024. Can you give us the headline again, Mary Kay? I'm sorry.
Well, basically, I wrote a column yesterday saying why his arm it looks so much better right now than it did in 2024. I talked to an orthopedic surgeon who has worked for an NFL team in the not too distant past and has performed all kinds of surgeries like this. And he said absolutely 100%. Now, he hasn't operated on Deshaun, but he said a quarterback who has undergone fractured shoulder surgery and torn labrum surgery isn't necessarily going to look like himself in the 9 months after that surgery. But now that he's been 2.5 years out and he also had another year off to rest the arm last year, it just looks so much better. You guys can see the clips, I'm sure, on YouTube of Deshaun hitting the long ball. He's got more velocity on the ball. He did not trust that arm in 2024. I was there at the Greenbrier one day, and this didn't go over well, but I watched him not be able to hit a pocket in a net 25 yards out. He left it short, and he cut his practice short that day. And when I wrote about it, like I said, that didn't go over well with probably him and the team, but he wasn't himself in 2024. He was never himself in 2023 with the arm and the shoulder, because that started way back in week 3. So that year was kind of a wash. And then you fast forward to 2024, and he still didn't have it. He didn't have any confidence in the arm at all. And that wasn't the only problem in 2024. They didn't have an offensive line. They didn't have their offensive tackles. They didn't have David Njoku. Amari Cooper wanted out. Jerry Jeudy didn't practice in training camp very much. They had a new offense being installed that nobody really kind of got or understood or practiced. And it was just a recipe for disaster. So this year, things are much better for him and around him, including the arm strength.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us here on the show. So is he, I know they won't confirm who's the leader in the clubhouse to be the starter. Do you believe that he is the leader to be the starter, or are we up in the air still?
I do believe that he is the leader in the clubhouse right now. That's what it looks like when we look out there at practice, and that's what it looks like based on the performance of the two quarterbacks, Deshaun and Shedeur. But here's the thing to remember about Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur is a gamer. Shedeur plays on natural instincts. When the lights are on and it's time for him to march downfield in a 2-minute situation, he gets in a zone and he lets his natural instincts take over. And that's why you saw him be able to perform pretty well in some clutch situations last year, despite the fact that he had never thrown to most of these players, and the fact that he didn't have much protection and that the line was held together with smoke and mirrors. So he's not necessarily going to excel or shine in these type of practice settings, because this isn't when you get into that zone, when you get into that rhythm. So my guess is that they will set a QB depth chart, maybe coming out of minicamp, maybe even going into minicamp, not sure about that. But just because you set your QB depth chart doesn't mean that that is going to be your opening day starter. So I think this is going to happen in phases. I think a QB depth chart will be set just so you can have your ones working together in camp. But then you still have an opportunity to go out there in joint practices against the Bills, in preseason games, and state your case. So I just don't even think it's going to be over when the QB depth chart is set.
Well, I think that's very interesting, because I've said all along that I thought it was going to be really hard for Shedeur with a new coaching staff and this type of time frame that we know that wasn't set in stone, but was something offered up by the new head coach about wanting to have, his depth chart decided hopefully by June. And you just said Shedeur is a gamer, but if he doesn't get the opportunities in the games, then we're just relying on practice and mastery of a playbook. And that was always going to be to Deshaun Watson's edge.
Well, Deshaun does show out well in these types of situations because of his athleticism, and his athleticism is really on display in these practices, and also just his experience, his mastery of just NFL football. I mean, you're talking about a former first round pick versus, who has started numerous games versus a young quarterback who is still in the developmental phase. So naturally, Deshaun is going to look better in this setting. He moves better. He makes very, very quick decisions, and he just looks the part. But that doesn't mean that this thing, once again, is going to be over, like I said, because the thing about Shedeur is that he steps up when he gets in that zone. I saw it so many times last year, even in games, and he didn't have necessarily the right infrastructure to perform as well as he might have if he had better receivers and a better offensive line. But there was still something about him. He had the it factor. And sometimes that it factor doesn't show up until the lights come on.
If Brendan Sorsby doesn't get his injunction and has to go to the supplemental draft, how interested are the Browns in him right now?
It's tough to say. I do not know how interested they are. I do know that they did plenty of due diligence on him for last year's draft because there was a chance he was going to come out. So I've written this. I've said this. I know that they have a book on him so far. And what they will need to do if he goes into the supplemental draft is update their evaluation on him. But they already have one, so they would not be starting from scratch. What they'll have to determine, and this is a big thing to have to deal with. Do you think that he's going to stay gamble-free or whatever you would say in a gambling addiction situation? Do they think that he can remain clean in that way? And I think right now a lot of young guys are struggling in this nature because we have put gambling, of course, right at their fingertips every single day. And it's hard. I'm sure it's very, very difficult to overcome something like this. And, who knows if he's going to be able to do it. So this is different than any other supplemental draft case, and they're really going to have to think long and hard about it.
Yeah, I just know, Mary Kay, when I've heard like Albert Breer come on and say he could be top 5 next year or would have been, it gets a little, while watching the video, intoxicating. Like his video looks better, in my opinion, and what do I know, but looks better than Mendoza. And he went number 1 overall this year. You know, the different arm angles, looks to have that deep ball. Now, he did not finish well the last 4 games of the season. He would have been playing with a lot more talent. Obviously, the following year had the Texas Tech thing come to fruition. So I understand, too, that, hey, you wouldn't have to tank for him. If you took him in the supplemental, you would not have to tank. You wouldn't have to sit here and celebrate losses because it got you closer.
What if you don't know if he's good? I mean, as a fan, what do you don't know if he's good?
Well, fans don't know if anybody's good.
Yeah, they do.
We all hope.
They all have feelings if they have a guy knows a guy's good. Do they believe that he's going to be that great?
I don't know if Mary Kay wants to hear us argue and bicker about this. She wants to take part in the interview.
Many times in front of Mary Kay.
We tell her to come on and give her insight, and we talk all over her.
All right. Let me interrupt here for a minute. You can talk amongst yourselves when I'm gone. Just kidding. But I do think that I personally think that it probably would be a risk worth taking in terms of some kind of a draft pick because you're not shelling out millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's a low financial risk, and maybe you can get the guy in the building and then really determine how he's going to do from a gambling standpoint. And this has always been a team of second chances. Andrew Berry is a general manager of second chances. We all know that by now. So, why not take one on this young man and maybe get him in your building and just see what might the situation be with his off-the-field issue?
Joel Bitonio, is he coming back?
The longer it goes, it seems to me probably not, but I don't know for sure. Everyone's in lockdown on this. We can't get anybody to say anything. Nobody's really heard from Joel. So I'm guessing the answer to that is no, but I can't say that definitively.
Yeah, whatever happened to him? Kenny, I thought we would have some of this ironed out by now. Do you think there's a chance he's
your offensive guard, Joel? Whatever happened there?
Do you think there's a chance he's maybe waiting for how some of these guys do? He'll stay in shape, see if there's an injury to a contender, somebody on the offensive line, and kind of latch on then and have a chance to win a Super Bowl?
Maybe that could happen. Stranger things have happened than someone spending their whole entire career with a football team and then finishing up somewhere else. Even some of the greatest players in the NFL have done that. So I wouldn't be shocked if he still wants to go play somewhere if it's not here, because last year he showed me that he had plenty left in the tank. I thought he had a really, really nice season, and maybe he's not ready to give it up yet.
All right, we were debating who gets to ask the question, but this is a good one. This is a fun one. Travis Kelce, would you have more interest in seeing him finish his career with the Cleveland Browns, or do what happened over the last 24 hours, which was confirmed that he is now a minority owner of the Cleveland Guardians?
Well, I like the fact that he's a minority owner of the Cleveland Guardians, especially because it sort of brings Taylor Swift into the mix. And, I think that's good for Cleveland when you have celebrities of that caliber that are interested, that shine a positive light on Cleveland. So I think I would probably have him in the minority owner realm more so than the tight end of the Cleveland Browns realm.
Ken can do the champion's pose. One final question for me, Mary Kay, and this is hard hitting, and just based on what I saw at the Cavs games, those final 2 home games, would you go with being more starstruck for Kylie Jenner or Taylor Swift if you saw them in person?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say Taylor Swift, just because of everything that she's accomplished in her career, and she's one of the greatest of all time. And she spans a number of generations or eras, might I say. So I would just say Taylor Swift because there are not many that can match what she's accomplished.
Well, the thing, I don't even know what Kylie Jenner. I don't know what Kylie Jenner looks like. Hand to God, I know who Taylor Swift is, but I don't know, and I know who Kylie. I've heard the name. I can't name a single song that Taylor Swift sings. I just know I've heard it before.
You belted out one of the lyrics yesterday.
Oh, my God, look at that face. You look like... That's the one I know of.
Well,
what's that song, Mary Kay?
Let me tell a quick funny story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our photographer was saying that, they were banning people from taking photos of Kylie at the game, or at least trying to prevent that. And
she's a model.
He was trying to take pictures of Timothy Chalamet, and when they were stopping him from taking pictures of Kylie, he was like, "Well, I don't even know who she is." So I thought that was really funny because, he just didn't even know who she was, and told that to the guard that was trying to prevent those photos.
Mary Kay, thank you so much. You're absolutely wonderful. And it's not just because but it is mostly because you told me what I wanted to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Mary Kay on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, call Right hotline.
Who do you think has more Instagram followers, Taylor Swift or Kylie Jenner?
Probably the Jenner.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because 382 million, Taylor Swift has 273. It's not even a fair fight.
Whatever. I don't know. I really don't. I don't have a problem with that Chalamet fella.
Oh, and the women in your life, do they follow Kylie or do they follow Taylor?
Taylor. I don't know. My daughters might follow Kylie more. I don't know.
What does Kylie Jenner do? She's a model. Does she act?
A lot of modeling.
Does she act?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
She doesn't sing.
Why are you asking me? I don't know.
Don't make me sing. She doesn't sing.
She acts like she enjoys basketball sitting next to Timothy Chalamet.
She don't like basketball?
I don't know.
You're sitting courtside. You got to enjoy some basketball.
She has showed up to all these games. I'll give her that.
Good for. I tell you what, I got nothing wrong with that. I can't name a single thing that guy's in, but I'm telling you right now, there's so many of those celebrities.
Do you know anything?
No, I don't.
He's been in like 10 big movies over the last 3 years.
Movie about the guy with the nasally
I wait forever.
Singing.
I watched The Road to Wellville.
Johnny Cash
last Saturday morning. There's a lot of things I'm getting stuck in the past on, brother. But no, I don't know anything the guy's in. I respect him because he seems like an actual sports fan, not one of these fake celebrities that glom onto a team just so it suits their PR. Like when remember that segment he was on ESPN? He knew this college football.
Yeah,
he knew
did.
that. So he seems like an actual sports fan.
Seems
fun.
fun.
I ain't got no problem with that guy. All right, I'm going to look up Timothy Chalamet movies. Timothy Chalamet movies.
Timothy. Signed that big contract
Lloyd,
after the Cavs.
Where's that hat?
Jason Lloyd, 901. Lloyd Braun from The Athletic. Are these big changes to this roster just wishful thinking? And I'd do the same exact thing if I were Miles. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
1023 The Fan and see if our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
All right, I looked at the filmography. We got Jason Lloyd coming up at 9. I know we got more important things. I've seen one thing that Timothée Chalamet has been in. One. Interstellar. It was against my will. I didn't like Interstellar.
Yeah, Dune is a big one because
Never
that's
saw
a,
it.
Interstellar? Are
No,
you
I don't.
serious?
I'm serious. Yes,
That's
John.
that's a
I'm
low ball knowledge
serious.
take, Ken.
I don't
low
like.
ball knowledge.
Why? Because I don't like a movie.
It is an amazing movie.
Congratulations.
It's miraculous. The score is brilliant. You
Whatever.
are objectively incorrect here.
I was forced to watch it against my will, and I didn't like it going in, and I didn't like it going out. And my wife watches it about 3 times a week as I fall asleep, and it's a movie I just fall asleep to and try to ignore. I don't even know where I would have seen him in the movie Interstellar.
Yeah, I don't know if the actual
of course,
science
his
works
role
in it.
of young Tom Cooper. I remember that.
I don't know if the actual science works, but I do enjoy the movie.
And
The score
didn't
as
see
well.
Marty
What's it
Supreme. Didn't see
I'm
Wonka,
halfway through that one.
Didn't see the Dune. Didn't see Hot Summer Nights. Didn't see any of this stuff. And I don't know what Kylie Jenner looks like. So what I'm trying to do here, guys, I'm going to be a very special age coming up here momentarily. And my midlife crisis is not trying to be like the Steve Buscemi meme. I've seen guys do what I do, and all of a sudden they're like really into, it's bad. It's just a bad look. It's really embarrassing. Guys who are getting older and they're trying to do the how do you do fellow kids thing, and they're on the radio, they're in TV. It's like, no, don't age gracefully. So should I know who Timothée Chalamet is?
Yeah, you should.
Because he's an actor.
Yes,
Okay.
because he's an actor. Dude, his Saturday Night, like I have only seen 2 of his movies. His Saturday Night Live stuff is,
I'll watch
really, really good.
I'll watch the Timothée Chalamet. I don't think I'm in the strike zone to know who Kylie Jenner is. I really don't.
No.
I'm going on middle-aged man from Canton, Ohio. I really should be past any Kylie Jenner type of thing. I imagine she's a good-looking woman.
It's just
I mean, you know she's a Kardashian.
Yeah, it's
right?
the famous family thing.
Yes, I know the Jenners and the Kardashians
that's
and the
the
such.
extent of my knowledge.
Yes. But that's where I'm at. So he kind of knew who the Bolsheviks were earlier. That's John's thing. I didn't start ripping John because technically in some ways he was right, but he really wasn't.
But who are some of the... I'm trying to think.
No, he wasn't paying attention. John was stoned in school.
Because we had Taylor Swift and Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner all walking, courtside at the Cavs games over the last week. Mm-hmm. And now that's over. We'll never see them again because
couldn't win a game.
We can play them in the Eastern Conference Finals next year. They'll be here next year.
Yes, perhaps that would be the case. Maybe with LeBron James on the Cavs roster.
Well, we had kings and queens coming into town for that. So.
But I'm just curious, that would be as famous as it gets outside of the president right now. That is as famous as it gets in our country, right? Am I wrong by saying that?
Those folks? Yeah, probably. Why?
No, I'm just saying. I think if you saw the way
Jack Nicholson can't really make appearances anymore,
no,
so
and they've completely passed him up in terms of fame.
Yeah, but he's a legend.
I'm trying to think who else would fit that cat. Would Beyonce? Or is Taylor Swift more famous than Beyonce now? Probably.
I don't know. Beyonce's pretty much up there.
People would say Taylor Swift's more famous, but Beyonce's more talented.
Well, I'm not here to get into a spitting match on talent, pound for pound, or anything like that. I'm just saying, people were willing to skip almost the entire Cavs game just to get photographs.
Well, why wouldn't they start skipping the Cavs game? They were getting boat raced by 30. Yeah, I'd start trying to take photographs, too, if I really knew who they were.
But the whole lower bowl around them, they stood in the bowels of the arena just trying to get pictures. Anybody who had access trying to get pictures of them, that's that level of fame.
So can I say something here? Yeah. We got Jason coming on at 9. Let me make an immediate switch for those going into work. If I were Myles Garrett, I'd be doing the exact same thing. I know Myles could just come out and do something on Instagram story and just, if he's just looking at a Microsoft Surface or there's something Browns related, whatever. it would calm a lot of people down. Because a lot of this is, and people are getting upset because they think we're trying to talk it into existence. The media is. I don't know if that's the case. I'm trying to put two and two together. I did not like Mike Rutenberg's answer yesterday. I thought it was hastily put together, and it made me think that somebody has loaded up his answer for him and helped him with that, and then he just Kato Kalen'd it. That's a reference that's more my age. If I were Miles, I'd do the same thing, because what does it hurt? If we talk about it, they don't get mad at Miles. The fans are not mad at Miles. They get mad at us.
There are some.
No, not the majority.
They're like,
not the majority.
Why is
That's the internet.
I'm looking at it right now. Why is he scheduling his vacations around football activities?
Because he's a defensive end. He can do it. If he were a quarterback, I'd be talking differently.
He's a defensive end on a losing football team.
Beside the point.
Losing football team, Kenny. Does that matter to you?
If I took 10
Does that matter to you if it was a winning football team versus a losing football team?
We can argue that at another time, maybe at 9:20.
I'm arguing it right now.
All right, I don't want to argue it right now. Let me do this. If 10 people called in right now, how many people would be mad at Miles over this or just go, you guys got nothing to talk about? It's your fault. I'd say 8 out of 10 people. The majority of the fans are on Miles' side. There's no side, but the majority of the fans are not mad at Miles.
Don't forget, there's a contingent of the fan base that was not happy with the way he humiliated the Browns when he wanted his trade. And for some people, they were like, he'll never be my favorite player ever again after that.
There is always going to be people who tell you that the sky is red. There's always going to be people who tell you that grass is blue. There's always going to be people to tell you something.
Wait. You don't remember those shows we did where people screamed and said, that's it, fine, trade him. If he wants out and doesn't want to be a Cleveland Brown.
In the words of you, that was then, this is now. And fast forward it. Because again, I'll do it at 9:22 after Jason. We'll see what he says about the Cavs, but I'll do it at 9:22. I want 10 people to line up and tell me if they are mad at Miles over this or they just think that the media is making a big deal. I could very well guess that I'm going to guess 8 of the 10 callers, they will say it's media-driven. The other part of it is...
Well, we've heard that our whole lives. Media this, media that. It's the media's fault the Browns are bad. It's the media's fault that the Browns
He's awful
can't get out
touchy
their
about
own
the media,
way.
isn't he?
Right, but that's all I've heard my whole life.
We got a real ombudsman over here.
And at some point, is it the media or is it the awful Browns? You guys be the judge. If you think it's the media, well then, okay, we'll all move and the Browns will just what? Instantaneously start winning games?
So it sounds like you're mad at Miles. You're mad at Miles.
Why does he?
Are you mad at Miles?
I think he could endorse the new head coach, which he didn't want.
But he doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't have to do anything. Myles Garrett doesn't have to do anything. He'll just continue to be on the losing Browns.
That's the point.
That is the point. And he'll just continue to lose games, and he'll put up great numbers, and he gets to do all these cool things and be famous. That's cool. That doesn't really help the Browns win games,
I feel like you yesterday because you're not letting me make my point here about why I would do the same thing if I were Miles. I care about the fans. Miles doesn't have to because Miles is just going to show up and get 20 sacks this year.
On a losing football team.
On a losing football team, that's true. But if he doesn't say anything, this conversation is going to continue to pick up. I mean, I'm breaking down Mike Rutenberg's conversation in a media scrum yesterday.
So he likes the conversation.
It's not that he likes it, but it doesn't hurt.
But he could end it if he wanted to. If he didn't like it, he could end it.
But why would you end it?
He's chosen not to.
Why would you end it? You could get
to
yourself...
end it. If he's annoyed by it the way the coaches are.
But you can get yourself more money. This could be a business play. That's what I was trying to get to.
Couldn't he just ask the Browns for more money?
You're annoyed by Myles Garrett, aren't you? You're annoyed with Myles.
Of course I am.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're annoyed with Myles.
But I say this every year.
You're being honest.
You guys say you're not annoyed by it every year, and then you wonder, why doesn't it ever seem like our culture is very good? I don't know. The best player and the leader of the team just schedules his vacations around football activities while Denzel Ward...
These are not vacations. These are business arrangements.
Denzel Ward's in town talking to the coach every day.
These are business arrangements. Denzel Ward doesn't jet set across the world.
Hold on. Business arrangements?
They just made a commercial. That's not business. He did it for free.
There's no other time they could schedule that?
Hey, I have no idea when you're able to get the directors ready.
He picks, when are the OTAs? That's when we'll do it. That's a business arrangement.
I mean, when they made Days of Thunder, they had to film that during the Daytona 500. They couldn't just pick a different day now, could they? No, we don't know when the arrangements had to be made, when the sun had to be that way. And what are you trying to say? Do you want them to make AI commercials? Do you want them to come and take your job? I think Myles Garrett's supporting the working man is what I think. I think Jason Lloyd's going to join us in 5 minutes to talk about this and these big changes, quote unquote, to the roster. Are they just wishful thinking?
Anthony Lima for QC Connects. Hey,
between the two. Want to catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite 923 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 923 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Talk about how the Cavs should fix their problems throughout the offseason. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
You bring Jason on. I want to bring Jason on. You bring him.
We got to start football or basketball?
Let's start with...
What's your poison here, Kenny?
Ask him.
As Jason
Dealer's
Lloyd
choice
appears on the Weishart Wright We Make It Right. Call Kyle Wright hotline. Lloyd was at the scene of the crime for the humiliating sweep. And also, he's been basically in agreement with you. The Miles stuff is a non-story. Wonder if he's changed his tune. Jason Lloyd joins us now. How are you, Jason?
Wait a minute. What am I in agreement on?
Well, you've said that you thought
he doesn't like agreeing with me.
Miles will just be here once training camp actually starts. Nothing to see here. But have you heard the way they're answering these questions?
I'm just tired of the OTA. We have the OTA conversation with Miles every year. Like I'm just tired of talking about it. Like, of course, my stance hasn't really changed. Like, of course, you would rather him be here than not here, but he's not going to be here. So why bother? Like, he's just not going to.
Well, I have felt the same way. And I felt the same way up until I just didn't like Mike Rutenberg's answer yesterday when he was asked about talking to Miles.
Oh, so you think this is different? So I see where you're going.
It just came off very odd to me. And like, listen, I've been fighting the good fight, Jason. Like, come on, he does this every year. He does this every that da 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 da. And then I heard the answer, and I'm going, why is he answering like a follow-up question before it's even asked? And I'm going, all right, he was definitely told he was going to be asked this, and they went over an answer before, but I didn't think the answer was good, and so it makes me think, has he had contact? Is this something to pay attention to? And you got Breer talking about it with the guys in the afternoon, Schrager talking about it on ESPN.
Like, they think he's getting traded. It definitely sounds like more and more insiders think he's getting traded.
Well, I mean, I made my stance clear last year. I thought they should have traded him last year. So, and it's not that anyone's like, boy, they really need to trade Myles Garrett. He stinks. That's not it at all. Nobody wants to do that.
No.
Nobody's excited.
Well, you would only trade Myles if you're getting a huge haul back. That's why.
Of course. And you only trade Myles because you're trying to fix the quarterback situation. Well, yeah. I mean, if they trade him, I'm not going to be shocked. No, because I thought they should have done it last year.
So I got two more about Myles here, and then we can go on to basketball or whatever Tone wants to ask you, Timothy Chalamet or whatever. One, are you more annoyed? Do you think more fans are annoyed with Myles over this, whatever it is, or do you think they're more annoyed with the media?
Media. Okay. It's always the media.
I agree.
And that's fine. Like, that's fine. Like, that's the way it always goes. It's so funny in Cleveland, and I think it's because the Browns haven't been able to get their shoes on the right feet for 30 years. But I've said this before: when the Cavs stink, people blame the Cavs. When the Guardians stink, which is not very often, fans blame the Guardians. When the Browns stink, fans blame the media. It's just wild to me. But
go ahead and quote tweet that.
Am I wrong?
No.
It's just weird.
Well, the other teams haven't been bad for a long time.
I know, and the Browns are always bad, and fans get sick of having it pointed out. I guess
I'll tell you though,
it's just weird
when you start when trades start getting talked about. People do start to get mad at the media when it comes to the Cavs. It's just they don't.
Cavs?
When you start talking trades and stuff, because you're just telling them things they don't want to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But either way, I mean that's semantics. That's splitting hairs here. Can I one more thing? If I were Miles, I didn't get a chance to get this off my chest because we started arguing about the media and stuff. If I were Miles, I'd be doing the exact same thing because my answer is, what does it hurt? The fans might, if there are some fans, which I don't think they are, I think they're mad at the media. If there are some fans mad at him, all right, they're going to change their minds once I get 20 sacks this year. If the more that talks, the more people pick up the phone, and because I have the no trade clause, so they can say they're keeping me all they want. But if they get somebody who offers something crazy with all this talk going on, and they bring it to me and it's the Las Vegas Raiders, I can go, yeah, pound sand. I'll stay. Goodbye. Or if it's the Eagles or Rams or Cowboys or whatever, you go, yeah, let's talk it. Let's do this here as long as they offer me another contract. Or you can turn right around and go, give me another contract. I mean, he really has all the power in this situation.
Well, they gave it to him.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And that's why if I were Miles, I'd let the conversation continue. I don't need to stop any of this.
No, he went from having very little leverage to all of the leverage last year when they gave him the no trade. It was, we talked about it at the time, it was stunning everything that they gave. They gave the contract and the no trade.
If he put out something on Instagram or whatever, gave an interview, it would make me feel better. He don't need to care about me. He needs to care about his future, his bank account. So it might make me and several other Browns fans feel better, but that ain't going to do better in his. And he knows the second he goes out there and starts sacking everybody and wrecking games like he does, it's not that we would have forgiven him. We just won't remember it.
I do think that there's at least a portion of fans that are upset with how last year went in terms of the trade demand, everything that he said. I don't think it's a large percentage, but I do think that there are people that kind of look at him sort of side-eyed. You steal my 14-year-old daughter's line. But I don't think it's a very high percentage.
Watson starting in September? Yes or no?
Yeah. I think I've been consistent on that. At first, when this first started, I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was just like sort of a motivation tactic to make sure that Shedeur stays on point. But then around the owners' meetings, the light went on. I was like, oh, no, they're serious. This is really going to happen. They really are going to run him back out there. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to last the whole season as a starter, but I think he's first one up.
All right, Jason Lloyd, right now on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. What do you do when you're the Cavaliers and you were one of the last 4 teams playing, but the city didn't seem really all in, and then the team didn't seem really all in on competing in a humiliating 4-game sweep at the hands of the Knicks?
It's frustrating because it was a breakthrough to make the conference finals. That is an accomplishment worth celebrating, that it was a spot that they couldn't get to before. So you have to acknowledge that, and you have to, I don't know if honor is the right word, but you have to, like, that was a good thing. But their performance once they got there obviously was awful. So would you rather them lose to Detroit and not have that happen? Like, would you rather lose Game 7? Then it's really on fire. And then we're writing all kinds of things and saying all kinds of things about who needs to go. And maybe it does look different. But the fact that they made it there counts for something. I got tired of hearing the tired talk because I think Donovan was 100% right. They did it to themselves. I thought for Kenny to come out and talk about the NBA scheduling was weak. Like, you guys put yourself in this position, so don't complain about the schedule now. You had no, the Knicks didn't have to go what you went through. The Knicks handled their business. So it's sort of a mixed bag. I think that there's reason to be pleased that they made it as far as they did, and there's certainly reason to be upset with how they performed when they got there.
We got Jason Lloyd joining us on the show. Sorry, I asked Lima if I could say something on the air, and when Lima says no, that means I really can't say it on the air.
Wow.
Well,
now I'm curious to know what it is.
Just text him later.
It came off to me like Kenny sounded during that series, like one of those parents who just makes excuses for their kid and their kid's an idiot. Doesn't it? And like their kid's not, and like the Guardians, the Cavs aren't idiots. It's just like, man, you had a terrible series, things went bad, and what are you doing? Give me analytics. So analytically, we're up 2-1. Really? And so that just opened it up for people to make fun of you. Like there were tweets last night and stuff about the Cavs getting ready for analytical Game 5.
Yeah.
The stuff about being tired. The stuff. It's like, hey guys, like let goofballs like me on the radio say that, and let me take hits for it. You guys are grown men. This ain't CYO. Like, that's silly. It just seems so. Hey, oh God, it's soft. It's soft, and you know it's soft, and it comes off soft. And if I were a player for the Cavs, I wouldn't be happy about it because you're making me look soft. It's like, no, like Donovan Mitchell didn't make any excuses whatsoever. I didn't hear James make excuses for him. I didn't hear Evan make excuses for him.
I don't know. James said they were the better team. He thought they were. I'm paraphrasing.
Damn it, that's right. I forgot. Okay, strike that one. I didn't hear Evan make excuses, and I didn't hear Donovan make it. Well, that's not an excuse. Maybe that's just sour grapes. Ha, 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 ha.
Donovan was the one that I thought handled it best because he's the one that kept saying we did this to ourselves.
Yeah.
And he was 1,000% right. The analytical thing, I'm afraid, is going to haunt Kenny for like the whole
Forever.
Jared thing with the lights were too bright.
Mm-hmm.
This is that moment for Kenny where the analytical thing is just going to chase him and hound him for years.
But again, Jared seems to only tell the truth in these situations. I mean, he had another comment, and it seemed to be truthful during this series. Can't remember what it was, but it was critical of their own team, and I thought that he had a point about that. And it's just like, man, Kenny, why are you lining up and make all these excuses for these guys? They're the highest paid roster in the NBA. They're not making excuses for each other. I can say that when James says that, maybe it's just sour grapes, maybe he's just upset. But like everything else is like, you're giving me the schedule? Really? The schedule here? Where if you could have taken care of Toronto like you should have taken care of Toronto, you would have had some time to rest your feet.
Toronto should have been 5.
Yes.
That was not a good basketball team. They should have beat Toronto in 5. They should have beat Detroit in 6. Had they beaten Detroit in 6, yes, they would have had to play Game 1 on Sunday. But if you recall, they played pretty well on Sunday in Game 7 in Detroit, and they would have had 3 days off between Games 2 and 3. And it could have been a nice, hard reset of bodies, of health, of rest, of all of that. And maybe it would have been a different series. I don't know. I mean, frankly, I don't know that it would have mattered the way that the Knicks are playing. I don't know that it would have changed the outcome of the series, but it certainly would have given the Cavs more of a fighting shot.
All right, Jason, when he was younger, Dan Gilbert did not have the appetite for any kind of humiliation. He'd fired coaches of the year before. He had certainly never been reluctant to make sweeping moves if necessary. We know back in the day it used to be no GM had ever gotten a contract extension. Is this Dan Gilbert different? Does he have more patience, or they have something up their sleeves? Because to sit there 24 hours, not even after eliminated, and then say the coach was coming back, that did surprise me, especially the timetable. Like, not even taking more than a day to think about it.
Yeah, the timing on it was a little bit surprising to me, too. Dan has not – I've said this multiple times. Dan has not been the same guy since his health problems, since his health issues, since the stroke. He hasn't responded the same way. He hasn't reacted the same way. And a lot of times it's been for the better. Like, he was a very, people would describe him as a very emotional, overreactionary, I've used the word irascible type of owner before. And since he's had the health problems, a lot of that has gone away. And I know that he is a staunch supporter of Kenny. I know he really likes Kenny. So that part, I guess, didn't surprise me that they kept him, but the timing of it did a little bit. I mean, Kenny had a terrible finals. There's no way around it. He had a terrible conference finals. Is that enough reason to get rid of a guy? Clearly, they say no. So do they have something up their sleeve? When the LeBron thing is what it is. I've told you guys before. I don't see him. I certainly don't see him taking a minimum type deal. I don't know that necessarily he would take a mid-level type deal. It's like they're going to have to get creative if that's the route that they go. The honest thing is interesting to me because he's got 1 year left on his deal. So are you really going to make a big swing like that without any sort of commitment from him? I would be surprised. So, and that's the part like we haven't really talked about. What's the honest one? Because he's going to, like we talked about Miles, and Miles is going to have control. Well, Giannis is going to have a pretty big voice too, because I don't know that what team is going to give away what Milwaukee's asking for 1 year of control, because then he's got a player option after that. So Giannis will have a voice in this of his next spot if and when he's traded. The whole Jimmy Haslam thing is just another layer to all of this that I find fascinating, given obviously his ties to the city. And so we're going to have a bunch of weeks to unpack some of this and get into all this. But the honest thing is fascinating to me because I think he's going to have as much say as anyone over where he goes next.
I thought Varden put a different spin on it when he said, is he going to be comfortable walking into a locker room where he looks at Sam Merrill and Sam Merrill makes more than he does? And I went, oh, God, that's tough to he's arguably the greatest player to ever do it. Yeah.
I was still on Giannis.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have said LeBron because you just got done talking about Giannis. And I was like, man, that does put a different spin on things there. I mean, we're talking about
100%.
arguably the greatest player of all time.
And he's been. And you can make a very strong argument. I've had this conversation with him before about he's one of the most underpaid players of all time. Yes, he's got all these max deals, but for all the money, the billions of dollars he's made for the NBA over the course of his career, like he's been underpaid his whole career.
Like you would feel you're taken advantage of in so many ways.
And yes, and for everything I just said about Dan is not the same Dan, LeBron don't care about that. Like LeBron is not going to do Dan any favors.
No.
So there's just when they were here, whenever that was, when the Lakers were here, I really thought like, oh man, like I could see a path to this. I could see this could happen. And I'm not saying it's not. It very well still could, but I don't know how they make the money work. I don't know what their appetite is, how much they're willing to move to make that work. Because anyone who thinks he's coming back here on a minimum deal or a taxpayer mid-level, I would be stunned. Not saying it's impossible, but I would be stunned.
Yeah, Jason,
if he was willing to do that.
I know we got to go. I know that he had to have an appreciation for how incredible, even though they were a bad team, Kobe's swan song went, and you got to see it up close and personal here in Cleveland. People flying from all over the world to come see Kobe in Cleveland. I was asking people flew 20 hours to Cleveland to see Kobe Bryant's last game. LeBron's a historian. He appreciates the game. Does he really want to end it squabbling with ownership and coach and wondering if he's going to get a game ball and just the way that they have taken him for granted and they just don't seem to care about him there? That just doesn't seem like the LeBron James that I've known to have such an affinity for the sport that he loves and has been such a big part of.
That you're right in everything that you're saying, but also this is the season of posturing and this is the season of public negotiation, and it's still the Lakers, and it would still be finishing his career, his incredible career, with an incredibly storied franchise. So once they get around to October, if it works out and they stay, I think a lot of that will be under the bridge, and they'll move on, they'll move forward, and he'll finish his career there. He loves LA, I know that. His family loves LA, and he's never played away from his family ever in his career. His family's always been with him wherever he's been. I don't see them uprooting themselves and coming back to Cleveland for 1 year. And again, doesn't mean he can't do it. It's 1 year. I'm just pointing out it's never happened before.
Jason, thank you very much for the time. Blessings to you and yours.
Bye. All right. We'll do this again soon.
Okay. Jason Lloyd, columnist for The Athletic. On the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, call Car Right hotline. All right, guys, if you hate the media and you want to go after the media, in 5 minutes, you have your chance. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman.
Neither do we. Listen to True Crime News available now on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Hello. All right. If you hate the media, 216-474-0092. I'm going to throw it out to you. I'm throwing out the bat phone signal. Open those phone lines up. I want to hear you. Are you more annoyed with Miles or the media? You want to have that fight? Let's have that fight, Tone Master General.
I think that's kind of a stupid premise, though. I'll be honest.
What do you mean that's a stupid premise? You call me stupid?
I think when you've had presidential elections run on how bad the media is, and it's been successful.
Go. It always comes down.
In Cleveland, and I think it's because the Browns haven't been able to get their shoes on the right feet for 30 years. When the Cavs stink, people blame the Cavs. When the Guardians stink, which is not very often, fans blame the Guardians. When the Browns stink, fans blame the media. It's just wild to me.
That is with Jason Lloyd, who was with us just moments ago. If you missed that interview and you want to hear that or any other part of the show, you get on over there to the free Odyssey app and use the rewind feature. It's powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fires, and storm disaster restoration. And so I'm serious. I'm throwing it out 216-474-0092. I told Lima when it comes to the Myles Garrett stuff, and I said, I don't think fans are annoyed with Myles, and then Lima lost his mind on me to the point where I almost walked out on you today because you weren't letting me get my stuff in.
It was your turn.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to walk out on you. I have several times before.
We're like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. Your turn. Your turn. Your turn.
Yes.
You walk out. I walk out.
I asked, are you more annoyed with Myles or are you more annoyed with the media continuously bringing it up? Because you just went nuts. And I go, well, I think you're being sensitive because you're a media member.
Oh, I don't care, but
I think you do. I think you get very defensive over media when they start going after media.
Which media, though? Because you know I hate the media, too.
Do you hate the media? I think there's certain people
members
in the media.
You want to talk about it?
There's certain members of the media. Well, you said that there were plenty of people who apparently think I've wronged them in the media in Cleveland. That's when we had our great big knockdown, drag-out fight last week or 2 weeks ago.
Obviously, this happens all the time.
Yeah, what?
Fans don't want to hear that anything's a problem. And so fans are conditioned in many ways to say.
And they do this in other cities, too. The whole A.J. Brown thing going on in Philly, John will tell you.
They're blaming the media.
They go crazy on WIP and all that stuff.
And the reality is, we were here when Myles Garrett wanted out. We were flooded with phone calls. Good. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
But that was a year and a half ago.
Sure. And what's happened since then? He set the record.
He set the record. He's played well.
On a losing team that doesn't seem to... It maybe has the arrow pointed up in talent and all that, but let's be honest. They're probably going to have a losing record this year, right? And you have a new head coach.
If they win 7 games, better than last year. Okay, go ahead.
That is, yes. They have a brand new head coach. Myles Garrett was very public in vouching for a different coach that didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. And since the new coach got the job, we haven't seen Myles, heard from Myles. Nothing. And you have a whole slew of players that are there at both the voluntary stuff and then, soon to be mandatory stuff. You have a whole slew of players that are there. And you have Todd Monken, who seems annoyed, but at the same time said, yeah, I'm coming to everything. I want everybody to be here. I come to everything. And then the fans say, well, Myles gets special exemption because he's really good. He doesn't have to be there. Okay. If you play that game, then don't be surprised when people say Myles never going to be a leader. He's never going to be that guy. Would have been nice to have.
But I'm not disappointed in that anymore. There was a time probably 4 or 5 years ago I might have been disappointed. That is past.
Well, wouldn't that be awesome to have your best player also be a leader? That's normally how it works in sports.
Yeah, well,
in most cases.
Be great, but here we are.
So is that part of a problem? Is that part of a problem when your best player is not a leader and is kind of doing their own thing?
Well, if he wasn't that great, but he is that great. So he might be aloof, but he is so tough to put into a box, man.
I agree.
He is so tough. He's got speeding tickets, okay? We don't make big deals about speeding tickets until it's after his last speeding ticket because we've all had speeding tickets. Mm-hmm. He hit a guy over the head with his helmet.
Yes, he did.
But we also, I
got himself suspended.
But I totally, firmly, 100% believe, and you could say that this is my version of chemtrails, whatever you want to say, fine. I totally believe that there is audio of him being called a terrible word. I don't know if
that
it's
makes
the
us
word.
feel better because that then justifies the action.
And I don't know. I know.
That's why. If you were in Pittsburgh, you wouldn't say that.
Obviously, if I were in Pittsburgh, because that'd be boobery.
So we're in the Cleveland bubble on this one.
But no, because I do believe that Fox spends a lot of money on games. You're trying to. Was it Fox? Either way. You spend a lot of money on those games.
NFL Network.
NFL Network. Okay,
Thursday
thank
night
you.
football game.
NFL Network spends a lot of money on them damn games.
You don't think Pablo Torre could unearth it?
Oh, I think he can.
Mike Florio.
Pablo Torre's very busy looking into the Vrabel stuff right now.
Yes, that's true.
And
that's
then going back
24/7.
after Jordan Hudson.
And the Mentalist.
Hopefully Jennifer Hudson's never done it. And the Mentalist.
And
that was weird.
That was weird.
That was the weird one.
I agree with Kyle Coward on that one.
I went Pablo. No, that was just kind of a gag.
Did Copperfield really not make the Statue of Liberty disappear? I need Pablo to get on that.
Need Pablo Torre to get on that one. What happened to Houdini? Pablo, let's hear you.
He got punched in the gut and then he died.
But the other stuff, it's like, no, that's the stuff about like Lamar, the stuff about the contracts, the collusion. I was like, that's bona fide bulldog journalism there, man. You need that. It's just, I wish Pablo Torre maybe, in the words of the kids, touched a little grass here and there, because the illusionist or the mentalist or whatever it was, I'm like, that was a gag and everybody knows that was a gag. Anyway, he is such a difficult person to put into a place that you're comfortable with. Because 99 out of 100 people, if I say you're not a leader, that's a slight. And him, I say he's not a leader. I don't claim he's a leader, and I don't mean that as something nasty. I wish he was rah-rah, all that other crap. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things we wish and we don't get. He's not that guy. But when he goes out and he gets 23 sacks in a season, again, what are you going to do? And I tried to bring this up before, and you cut me off. I brought it up with Jason. Let me say it again. If I'm Miles, I don't care that Anthony Lima is not thrilled with me or annoyed with me. I don't care that Kenny Carman is getting spun and worked into a shoot and playing Mike Rutenberg. It only hurts my business to make you more comfortable. As much as it may suck that you are uncomfortable with it, because I don't know if Miles wants to go out and make people uncomfortable. He's not acting like it. Sorry, tough bleep, because
fans used to hate that.
I'm the one who
fans
holds
tell
all the
us
cards.
every day how they think the athletes, all they do is care about their money. And then they want the Cavs players to do what Jalen Brunson did. Take a huge discount. Or Jose Ramirez, take a huge discount. And you're here sitting here saying, no, it's okay now. In this case, they want Miles to make the most amount of money possible.
He's the 100th player. He is that guy. There's so many of these guys where they care all about this, that, and the other, and you turn around and you end up being right because they end up being Greg Little, or they end up being Braylon Edwards, they end up being Johnny Manziel, or any one of these other goofs out there. They end up being he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it's not like he's a bad person. He's not a bad person. Far from it. And if I'm Miles, too bad, Kenny. Too bad, Anthony. Too bad, Jason. Don't care. It ain't your bank account. It's my bank account. Because the only thing this is ever going to do is make me more money. Because I'm going to work out. I'm obsessed. He's obsessed. He's going to work out, I should say. He's obsessed with setting more records. He's obsessed with getting sacks. He will get more sacks. I think that motor will continue to go.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can say about the guy. I've had one game in 9 seasons that I thought that he kind of gave up on. And that was that Dolphins game, and I think in 2021, where he got pushed out of some holes, and I think that at that point he had just kind of had himself a fit and kind of had enough. That was like the one game. And then what did they call in and say? Well, you don't love football anymore. If you're Miles, I hold all the cards. If people don't call, I can still get a contract. Or I could just come when I want to, and you guys have all made a big deal out of nothing. Or the more that it gets talked about, the more teams maybe call. And it's not teams that, if teams call that I don't want to play for, too bad. I hold the cards. I have a no-trade clause. But if it's one of the handful of teams that I might be interested in, okay, let's talk. Let's see what we can do. He has all the power. It doesn't help him to try to make me feel better. So that's where we're at. And the only time I haven't really felt good about this was yesterday when Mike Rutenberg gave that answer where it was just like, hey, man, his answer to me was just, he tried to rehearse an answer. It didn't go well, and then it left me with more questions. And then Nenzel's talking about, I haven't been there, but I'm in constant communication with Brandon Lynch. And I mean, I'm getting set up all the cut-ups and all the other things. It's like, oh, God. And I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything from Miles. I guess I'm just going to have to live with it for a couple of more weeks. And if he's there on June 9th, that's the end of this. Until it becomes something again. I'm sure there will be more. But on June 9th, if he's there, that ends it. If June 9th and he's not there, June 9th is the day it starts, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. If June 9th, he ain't there, I guess it's all hands on deck on this station, because if he ain't there, there's going to be a lot of conversation, and the deniers can't deny it any longer, and that includes me.
Do you think the fans would then change their stance and say, fine, trade him?
I think that they would change. Well, first off, they're never going to go back on the media. They'll just go after the media for other reasons, and that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people who are trying to get ready for a season. They're excited about the possibility of the seasons. It bothers them because it's a downer to talk about the best player in the history of the Browns defense being traded. If then all of a sudden you found out that he did not intend on showing up and he was out for the mandatory minicamp, then I think a lot of people go, what could we get for him? And what teams are willing to give up that much for him? Because if you're giving me back-end first-round picks, I'm going to also need some seconds. I'm going to need some thirds here. This is a game-changing type of pass rusher here. And I know you're going to have to sign him to another contract to play for you, but we'll talk the turkey. But, yeah, I think that there's far more people that are annoyed with the media than they are at Miles right now. It is – if you didn't like Miles before, then, yeah, you definitely don't like Miles now. But I think there's a lot of people who they just think that we don't have much to talk about. And, yeah, I tell you what.
But they also think the media divides the team. And if the team can be divided by the media, then you don't have a real team. Let's
true.
be honest.
That is absolutely true, because they don't like the media either. So if the media is dividing them, then you got yourself a problem. But I'll tell you what, at least on this side of the show, on this show, I don't want to divide them. I don't want any of these things. I hated that the Jadeveon Clowney stuff happened. All that other stuff, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And this is the difference. This is why I'm not a journalist. I openly root for them to win. I openly root for them to do well. Journalists, I just don't like covering a bad football team. Well, too bad. I hate rooting for a bad football team, too. Sucks to be you. At least you're getting paid. I ain't no journalist. I want them to win. I want to have fun with my buddies. Speaking of buddies, folks, what's better than it? Guys being dudes right there in Lima's front yard. It's coming up at 9:45 on The Fan.
Brad Evans here to help you beat the Bullets with Westwood Lawn Sports. That thud you heard was the Chicago Cubs.
why it's our job to get you what you need when you need it. We deliver the supplies. You deliver the results. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
The Browns are back on the practice field for OTAs, and our beat reporter Darryl Ryder has the details. 923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
All right, before we get to guys being dudes, it's not a name of a new segment. I just saw something that warmed my heart yesterday. I'm going to get to Chuck in Parma. He hates the media. Hello, Chuck.
Yo, what's up?
Hi, Chuck.
Yeah, it's love-hate, you know what I'm saying, which is a good thing because, you get paid for making good content. Damn sure keep me listening all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I just want to say this real quick, just real quick about Miles. Miles been tired of the media's BS, you know what I mean? I mean, look how he orchestrates with interviews, his availability, these things, and this is how you hold the team accountable. It's kind of close to what LeBron used to do with the deals with the Cavs. Hold the team accountable. Bring some guys in here, tell me the plan. You know what I'm saying? We can't be mad at that. Now, I do want to say one thing that's very... Media don't divide the team. The media, what's happening with me, because I'm a good fan, the media divided the fans in Cleveland. You feel me? And at some point, the media got to hold y'all accountable and start bringing us back together.
How do we do it? You tell me, Chuck.
What do you want me to do?
We want to unify. I don't want to divide.
We're not going to, come on. No, I'm not going to I can't get as slippery as you, so you guys know. You guys know. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know. What do you, because I try to be nice to everybody out and about and all that stuff.
Things we clearly know, like the team definitely got better offensively. Then you guys will turn around and say, oh, it's just on paper. Come on, we got two studs in here as receivers. They're going to be beat. They're almost better than half the receivers in the league anyway.
But I think that, okay, but first off, they couldn't be any worse than what they were last year, right? But
and we only going to win 5 or 6 games.
I look at it like this, Chuck. If you and I were in a bar, right? Are you going to send me a nasty text and tell me to go to hell if we are arguing about the Browns' offensive line or the Browns' offense? No. That's kind of how I'm not like a lot of other guys. I get that, but that's kind of how we are. And Lima's the same way.
Too emotional. You know what I mean?
I'm a very emotional person. Yes, I'm very emotional.
Miles went outside the guy head with the helmet. It's about time. We've been losers for years, and we still used to
won that game.
The brown and orange. Regardless if we lose, we always looking forward to next year. Let's do it again. It's like now we just giving in every year. Oh, we gonna suck up. We gonna suck. No, I think we gonna win 9 or 10 games. I stand with the Browns, and guess what? Wherever I go in the nation, I don't give a damn if we lose this season. My head gonna be held up high.
Well, I think the
media should be doing.
I think we have a good mix. I honestly do. Chuck, thank you for the call. I think there's people who think that this team is going to win 4 games this year, and we are in the market for Arch Manning. And then I'm trying to be measured. But there's people who call me a homer for saying they're going to win 7 games, for crying out loud, which, boy, again, I had that call, I'll never forget, back in 2016 when they didn't win one game, where I thought they were going to go 5-11, and some guy called it. The first call we had was out of Lyndhurst, and he's like, "You were such a homer. Are you nuts?" And I go, "Man, you know how bad things are when you're getting called a homer if you're saying the team's going to win 5 games. That's too optimistic." I think we have people who are negative. I think we have people who are very positive. I think that it goes with their personalities. I don't think they're trying to be nasty. I don't think they're trying to be personal. I don't think they take personal shots at you guys. Some of them maybe, but it's a one-on-one type of thing. I don't think very much different. I think it's a pretty good mix here. And I do think that I want them to win because I root for them. You want them to win. We have different opinions about how they go about that. That's why we are almost ready to fight each other about all of it.
I'd make more money if they won. You kidding me?
Would you?
Way more opportunities. When LeBron was here, there was so much
had money
more.
falling out of his pockets, you rich bastard.
I was also single, had no responsibility, got very little sleep, went down to Miami a lot.
You still get very little sleep, but you had more money for extracurriculars down in Miami.
That's right.
I saw something that was heartwarming yesterday.
What's that?
Guys being dudes at the city park where you filmed a game of 12-man basketball on half court, which was unbelievable.
So but I took Mason to the playground. Go to Crayground. So I took him over, And all of a sudden, guys start showing up one by one, like the Royal Rumble, in various NBA uniforms. Okay, like real NBA
One
team
guy had
jerseys.
an arm sleeve on.
Yes,
I saw that. He
so
had
I'm
the
like,
AI
all right,
arm sleeve.
this has to be a gag or a senior project. They look to be like seniors in high school, and this had to be some sort of a project. So these guys start running a weave, and I'm like, okay, I gotta film this and send to Ken and to my boss Keith. And that's exactly what I did. And I know I got called out for taking videos of youngsters at the playground.
I knew that was going to happen when you shared that.
Amazing. So I'm watching these guys, and they're like running some weird weaves. Sometimes they dribbled, sometimes they didn't. And then there's video of a kid just taking a bizarre over the head shot.
It was a
from
great
behind,
shot.
like backwards over the head, flipped it in like a trick shot, and it went in. The place went nuts.
Yeah.
I think it was 6-on-5. It was
it was 11-man basketball.
Yeah.
Vaunted 11-man basketball.
Yeah.
They only do that in Montgomery County, so you got a special treat.
Your run-of-the-mill 11-man basketball game. And these guys could not have been more hilarious. They came over. I told them, hey, I'm going to tweet this.
Are you filming us, mister?
No, they wanted to see the shot. They saw me filming. They wanted to see the actual video. They're like, can you send it to me? I'm like, better yet, I tweeted it.
You did have Mason with you. So it's like, all right, here's a man and his son.
Yeah.
Wasn't that bad.
So
when like you're hanging out in the bushes.
These guys, they ended up taking a picture with me.
Uh-huh.
And they did the whole, oh, yeah, Lima, I follow you. Now, who knows what they really said behind the scenes. Maybe
Well, their dad might.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
But that's a first. You don't see a lot of that, Kenny. And it had a lot of commentary, people comparing it to Rucker Park.
Yes. You made me feel terrible, though, earlier today because you read some Facebook thing about some 320-pound man who recently had a breakup and wanted to go to...
No, he was the 420.
Yeah, 420.
He was 420 pounds.
4 bills.
Oh, he's 4 spins. He was a 420-pound man, and he recently went through a breakup, and he basically wanted a friend to go to Cedar Point and hang around with, even though he can only be on so many of the rides.
He outlined the rides he can ride just so that nobody was misunderstanding the situation.
I know we've had a lot of generational strife on this show today, and I didn't mean for it to be that way. I will brush up on my Timothy Chalamet. I'll find out what Kylie Jenner looks like.
This guy's like 4 Timothy Chalamet.
But I felt... He is a thin man, the Timothy Chalamet. I felt so sad because I looked at John and go, this is the problem with your generation.
Unit of measurement.
You guys don't just hang out.
How many Chalamet are you trying to lose with this shot?
He stands at least 3 Chalamets high.
John brought up, he goes, you guys had way more money than my generation. I go, no, I didn't. I was dirt poor. I go, John makes more money than me. Well, the buying power. I go, that doesn't matter.
More money?
I go, what's it matter? I go, do you have to make a lot of money?
You used to get everything from J.D. Power in a show.
Do I have to sit there to hang out?
May, maybe.
I mean, honestly, you guys were 20 once. Do I have to make a lot of money to, get a nickel bag and hang out with my buddies? Do I have to make a lot of money to
Back
get
in my day, you only needed $5 for that.
Bingo? Do I have to make a lot of money to get a case of Busch Light? Do I have to make a lot of money to get a couple of bottles of Wild Irish Rose? Do I have to make a lot of money for my buddy to bring over his Nintendo that his parents bought him when we were 20 years old? No. And I don't think, John, your generation don't hang out anymore. And so that's why they got to go to social media. Sadly, I hope this man found a friend.
Get out
Let's go
there.
find friends to go to places with each other.
Don't they do that? Don't they have like Tinder for friends now?
They
Just
should.
to legitimately find
They
friends?
should.
Go out there, John. Experience this world.
Only
There's a lot
girls
out
kind of
there.
use the Tinder for Friends thing. It's a very female-oriented thing.
Oh. See, this is why, man, I can go on a whole diatribe now. It all starts at the youth level.
Oh,
it all starts at the youth sports
Back
level.
when you're just 1 Chalamet high.
All these travel teams, and now you see what happens. Now they're 20-something years old, and ain't no one hanging out with each other because they didn't play baseball together. Eric Perry, still know him 35 years later now. Still buddies, still text.
Your buddy
T-ball.
Tony's his sister or whatever.
T-ball.
He got beat up by Alistair over him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's a true story.
But he lost Alistair over him, right? Yeah. He beat the hell out of whoever I saw him beat up at Canton Civic Center. I'll tell you that.
Let's turn into a public service announcement. The more you know.
Right.
Beat the brakes off that
Play
guy.
some sports.
Play sports. Get the kids involved in sports.
Good idea.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
And maybe you won't become 4 Chalamet.
And making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey, I'm only 3.5 Chalamet.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.
This is an Audacy